Chapter 256. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu arrived at the palace together. Princess Linglong, the royal Azure dynasty ruler, and the others were overjoyed. When Chu Kuangren arrived before the crowd and saw the injured Princess Linglong, a cold glint flashed across his eyes. He raised his hand and cast the spring breeze healing technique. A gust of gentle wind blew past Princess Linglong and quickly healed her injuries. Shang Han's eyes lit up when he saw Chu Kuangren. He was not afraid at all. Chu Kuangren, you've come at the right time. Today. Before he could finish, an extremely dense Taoist rime erupted and turned into a godly mountain that smashed onto Shang Han's body. The terrifying energy sent Shang Han flying hundreds of meters away, before he crashed onto the palace wall with a loud bang. ****, you seem to be having a good time. Chu Kuangren said coldly. Shang Han dashed out from the ruins. His hair was disheveled, he was covered in dust, and there were traces of blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked extremely pathetic. Chu Kuangren. Today, I shall defeat you and avenge my humiliation. Shang Han was not discouraged despite being sent flying. On the contrary, the battle intent on his body burned. The terrifying Taoist rhyme resonated with the heaven's halberd in his hand, and his aura skyrocketed. Although he was only in the honorable realm, he was able to unleash a terrifying aura that was no weaker than a sage's. The surrounding void trembled violently. That was the power of a boundary emperor weapon. Chu Kuangren, have a taste of the heaven's halberd's power. Sage technique, 9 heavens hurricane. Shang Han roared and waved the heaven's halberd. Surges of Taoist rhyme flowed and intertwined in the void before it descended from the sky, and turned into a black hurricane that swept towards Chu Kuangren. The black hurricane was like a natural disaster. Every gust of wind was enough to destroy a mountain. The hurricane that was formed from thousands of intertwined gusts of wind was so powerful that it almost tore the void apart, shocking everyone at the scene. What a terrifying power! Even an honorable supreme would find it hard to defend against this attack. This should be at the level of a sage. The crowd looked at the hurricane before them and gulped in shock. However, Chu Kuangren did not budge an inch. As the target of the black tornado, he had to bear the most terrifying pressure. However, all of this didn't affect him in the slightest, and it was as if the destructive storm before him was nothing more than a cool summer breeze. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Chu Kuangren made his move. He slowly raised his fair palm with distinct knuckles. However, that beautiful hand contained a terrifying force that could shake the heavens and the earth, and it slowly struck towards the wind. It was a gentle palm, but it seemed to have a terrifying power that the void could not bear. In an instant, it caused the void to rumble, and the terrifying airwaves spread like ripples when a stone was thrown into a lake. Break! A light shout rang out. A terrifying Taoist rhyme accompanied the surge of spiritual power, turning into a divine mountain that crashed onto the black tornado. In an instant, the storm that filled the sky was forcefully shattered. Countless black winds were unable to gather and dispersed in all directions. The terrifying power contained in the majestic divine mountain was like a hot knife cutting through butter. It moved forward with an indomitable will and locked onto Shang Han. In the face of this power, Shang Han, who was holding the heavens halberd in high spirits, suddenly revealed a look of terror. No, how can this be? How can his power be so strong? Shang Han roared inwardly as he channeled the spiritual power in his body, trying to block Chu Kuangren's attack. However, it was futile. No matter what he did, he could not stop the attack. The power of the human mountain blasted onto his body without reservation. Boom! With a loud bang, the heavens halberd flew out of Shang Han's hand. His bones were broken, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Just as he was sent flying, a ray of light streaked across the sky and caught up to him. It was Chu Kuangren. He reached out his hand and grabbed Shang Han's neck, lifting him in midair. At that moment, Shang Han's bones and tendons were all broken, and he could not muster any strength at all. His whole body was like a rag. He looked at Chu Kuangren with extreme shock and disbelief. He could not even take a single attack from Chu Kuangren. The boundary emperor weapon that he had painstakingly obtained was useless. Let go of my young emperor. Shang Han's protector could no longer sit still. He walked out of the void, raised his arm, and launched a palm attack at Chu Kuangren. Scram! Chu Kuangren let out a soft roar. Like a sudden clap of thunder, a sound wave that contained a surge of Daoist rhyme erupted and spread out like ripples. The surging palm force continued to tremble before the sound wave. In less than a breath of time, the palm force was disintegrated by the sound wave, and the Tao Protector himself was sent flying. That's the Thunder Temple's heavenly thunder roar. The Protector looked at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. He could not figure out how Chu Kuangren could possess the Thunder Temple's technique. Chu Kuangren could not even be bothered to look at his protector after he forced him to retreat. His gaze landed on Shang Han and he said, "Do you really think you can do whatever you want just because you have the Heaven's Halberd? You're still not worth mentioning in front of me. As long as I want to, I can just move a finger and you'll be gone. Now I'll ask and you'll answer." Chu Kuangren lifted Shang Han and said, "Tell me, where did you get the Lu clan's ancient sword from?" "Chu Kuangren, I won't tell you," Shang Han said weakly. He did not know why Chu Kuangren wanted to know about the Lu clan's ancient sword, but as long as it was something Chu Kuangren wanted to know, he would not let him know. Chu Kuangren said, "It's fine if you don't want to tell me. I'll go to the Scarlet Phoenix domain later and ask the Shang clan about it. As for you, you can die here now." As he said that, a violent Taoist rhyme circulated between his fingers. The next moment, Shang Han would be dead. "Chu Kuangren, how dare you kill me? I'm the young emperor of the Shang clan. Aren't you afraid of starting a war between our orthodoxies?" Shang Han said in disbelief. "Do you know? Because of your million-strong tormented army, the Horizon Wing sect has lost more than 16,800 cultivators. The Horizon Wing sect is a subsidiary force of my Black Heaven sect. How do you think we should settle this score? How is it enough to kill a piece of trash like you? The Shang clan will pay the price too." With that, Chu Kuangren clenched his fingers, and a violent surge of energy gushed out from his fingertips. In an instant, Shang Han's body below his head was blasted into a mist of blood. At the same time, as Shang Han died, the primordial emperor's essence in his body came out. Chu Kuangren caught it, and kept it in his yin and yang ring. Before he died, Shang Han's eyes widened. He still could not believe that Chu Kuangren would really kill him. "Young Emperor." Shang Han's protector was shocked and grief-stricken. He stared at Chu Kuangren. "Chu Kuangren, you've gone too far." Chu Kuangren glanced at him and tossed Shang Han's head at him. "I have something even more audacious in mind. Take this head back and tell the Shang clan leader and the sages that I'll personally pay them a visit in 3 days. Tell them to wait for my arrival." Upon hearing Chu Kuangren's words, Shang Han's protector shuddered violently. Not daring to delay, he quickly took Shang Han's head and left. Chapter 257. Fiancé, I knew you would come. After dealing with Shang Han, Princess Linglong walked up to Chu Kuangren and looked at her sweetheart with uncontrollable joy in her eyes. "Yes, are you all right?" Chu Kuangren asked. "Fiancé, your spring breeze healing technique is quite extraordinary. I'm fine now." Princess Linglong smiled. "That's good." Then, Chu Kuangren looked at the Heaven's Halberd that was stuck in the ground not far away. He raised his hand, channeled his spiritual power, and pulled it towards him. The Heaven's Halberd had been refined by Shang Han, but since Shang Han was dead, the mark on it had disappeared. It was now an ownerless item again. Everyone looked at the Boundary Emperor weapon with fiery eyes. After all, it was a Boundary Emperor weapon with boundless power. Although Shang Han was a young emperor, his strength was not much stronger than an honorable. However, with the help of this Boundary Emperor weapon, his combat strength was comparable to a sage's. That alone showed how rare this Boundary Emperor weapon was. What if it was used by an honorable supreme or even a sage? Would their combat strength not skyrocket? However, now that the Boundary Emperor weapon was in Chu Kuangren's hands, they would not dare to snatch it even if they were given 10 guts. Inside the royal palace, the royal Azure Dynasty king had prepared a banquet to welcome Chu Kuangren. "Fiancé, are you really planning to go to the Shang clan?" the royal Azure Dynasty king asked. "Of course. I've already made my promise, so how can I go back on it?" Chu Kuangren chuckled. "No matter what, the Shang clan is still a sage orthodoxy. Won't it be too dangerous for you to go there so recklessly?" The 16,000 lives of the Horizon Wing sect must not be in vain, Chu Kuangren said. The million-strong tormented army was released because of Shang Han, and the Horizon Wing sect suffered countless casualties. As the leader of the Horizon Wing sect, the Black Heaven sect had to demand an explanation from the Shang clan. Otherwise, who would be willing to follow the Black Heaven sect? Fiancé, since you've made up your mind, I shall not stop you. However, I do have something to discuss with you. You and I are a family. Please speak, father. When Chu Kuangren addressed him as father, Princess Linglong was elated. The royal Azure Dynasty king was also beaming with joy. It's like this. I'm about to undergo heavenly ascension, and I heard that the Black Heaven sect has a heavenly ascension artifact that can guide the energy of the heavenly tribulation. I wonder if I could borrow it. The royal Azure Dynasty ruler asked. The weapon he was referring to was none other than the Thundersoother rod that Honorable Xian Qi had used during his tribulation. Of course, that won't be a problem. I'll send a message to Elder Ruyan later, and have her send someone over the Thundersoother rod. Besides that, once the Shang clan's matter is settled, I'll refine a few medicinal pills for you to ensure that your ascension will go smoothly, Chu Kuangren said. That's great. The royal Azure Dynasty ruler was overjoyed. He had long heard of Chu Kuangren's alchemy skills. If he could obtain the assistance of Chu Kuangren's medicinal pills, his chances of surviving the ascension would greatly increase. At that thought, the more he thought of Chu Kuangren, the more he liked him. Choosing to marry Chu Kuangren back, then was the best decision he had ever made. Even the royal Azure Dynasty ruler did not expect Chu Kuangren to achieve so much in such a short period of time. After staying in the Royal Azure Palace for a day, Chu Kuangren then headed to the Shang clan. Inside the Scarlet Phoenix domain, the Shang clan. When Shang Han's protector returned with Shang Han's head, the entire Shang clan was shocked and enraged. This Chu Kuangren is too arrogant. How dare he kill a young emperor just for the lives of a few people from the Horizon Wing sect? This B***starred really is a lunatic. That's right. Does he know what kind of consequences this will bring? Is he trying to start a war between the orthodoxies? Let's fight then. Does he really think we're afraid of him? Don't let your guard down. In the Great Hall, the upper echelons of the Shang clan were furious at Chu Kuangren for killing Shang Han, but there were also some who were worried. All right, let's quickly discuss our strategy. At that moment, a voice interrupted the crowd's discussion. A middle-aged man with a square face spoke. This person was the Shang clan leader, who was also Shang Han's father. He was the angriest when Shang Han was killed. However, as the clan leader, he knew very well that the current situation was too serious for him to lose his mind. The crowd gradually calmed down. Chu Kuangren's strength is not to be underestimated. 2 of the Murong clan's sages were killed by him in the past, and now they've become an honorable orthodoxy. In my opinion, we shouldn't fight him head-on, one of the elders said. He was one of the more clear-headed people there. He knew that Chu Kuangren was not to be trifled with. If they were to fight him head-on, both sides would suffer. If we can't fight him head-on, are we supposed to give in to him? Chu Kuangren has killed a young emperor, and if we give in to him, wouldn't we be humiliated? Besides, even if we give in, how can you guarantee that Chu Kuangren will let it go? Another elder objected. That's right. Everyone knows how the Murong clan sages died. Just because of one disciple, Chu Kuangren dared to attack the Murong clan and kill 2 of their sages. He's a lunatic. If we don't prepare, we'll end up the same way. That's not necessarily the case. Murong Xian is Chu Kuangren's junior brother, so it's understandable that he would do such a thing for his junior brother. Besides, the Horizon Wing sect is just an affiliated force. Even if some of their disciples died, I don't think they'll go all out against us. That makes sense. The crowd discussed among themselves and came up with various countermeasures. In the end, they decided to wait and see what Chu Kuangren would do first. They would deal with him later, but they had to be prepared to fight at any time. In an instant, the entire Shang clan was in action. Even the sage behind the Shang clan was on high alert. On this day, a majestic elusive mirage arrived above the Shang clan. The Shang clan leader and the elders all rushed out. What a gigantic fairy boat! I can't believe the Black Heaven sect has such a treasure. The gigantic elusive mirage hovered above the Shang clan. All the cultivators in the Shang clan's territory were shocked when they saw it. Those who knew the inside story were even more serious. They knew there was a person on that elusive mirage, a person who could turn the Shang clan upside down. He's finally here. I wonder if the Shang clan can survive this ordeal. Chu Kuangren, I'd like to see how arrogant he can be. Deep within the Shang clan, on a mountain peak, an old man who was sitting cross-legged suddenly opened his eyes and stared at the elusive mirage with a cold look in his eyes. Chu Kuangren, I hope you don't cross the line. Otherwise, the Shang clan will be your burial ground. That old man was the Shang clan's only sage. Although there was only one sage, most of the sage orthodoxies dared not underestimate the Shang clan. That was because this sage was very powerful, much more powerful than the sages behind most sage orthodoxies. The Shang clan's sage was already prepared for Chu Kuangren's visit this time. Even if a conflict were to break out between them, he was confident that he could defeat Chu Kuangren here. Chu Kuangren left Lan Yu in the elusive mirage while he entered the Shang clan's territory alone. The disciples looked at him, shocked by his appearance and aura. At the same time, they were also fearful and prepared for battle. Chapter 258. Chu Kuangren's visit to the Shang clan was known by many. Even some of the sages were paying close attention to the development of this matter. When Chu Kuangren arrived at the Shang clan, the sages' spiritual thoughts followed closely behind. Most of them were sages of the Vermilion Bird region. Their spiritual senses were communicating with each other. After the Morong clan incident, Chu Kuangren is going to wreak havoc in the Shang clan again. I wonder if the Shang clan will be able to survive this time. Who knows? Isn't this Chu Kuangren a little too presumptuous? I, on the other hand, hope that the Shang clan's sage can teach him a lesson. Although he is impudent, he has a good reason to do so. So many people from the Horizon Wing sect have died. As the sect leader, it is reasonable for him to come to collect the debt. What can we say? Many people knew about what happened in the ancient battlefield. As long as one had the intention, one could easily find out who was the one who released the million-strong tormented army. Although some sages had the same attitude as the Shang clan, they felt that the deaths of those from the Horizon Wing sect were just a small matter. However, Chu Kuangren just had to fight the Shang clan to the end over such a small matter, so what else could they do? The Shang clan was in the wrong first, and Chu Kuangren had a good reason to do so. Even some of the sages who wanted to find fault with Chu Kuangren had no excuse to do so. Within the Shang clan, Chu Kuangren walked past the countless Shang clan disciples who were holding their weapons at him. Slowly he arrived before the Shang clan leader and said, I, Chu Kuangren, am here to pay a visit. As soon as he finished speaking, an extremely violent sword-based Taoist rhyme swept out. This Taoist rhyme was so powerful that the surrounding Shang clan disciples didn't even have time to react before they were pressed to the ground, unable to move. I'm sorry, but I don't really like it when someone points a weapon at me, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The Shang clan leader's expression changed. Chu Kuangren, what are you trying to achieve by coming to the Shang clan this time? I'll get straight to the point. Shang Han's release of his million-strong tormented army has caused great damage to my Black Heaven sect's subsidiary force, the Horizon Wing sect. I feel that I must settle this score with you guys no matter what. Chu Kuangren's tone was as cold as ice. Then he looked at clan leader Shang Han. You're Shang Han's father, right? It's the father's fault for not teaching his son properly. You commit suicide as an apology. The crowd burst into an uproar when they heard this. Kill myself to atone for my sins? Chu Kuangren wanted the leader of a clan to commit suicide as an apology. Chu Kuangren, don't be too presumptuous. The Horizon Wing sect is just an honorable orthodoxy, and they've only lost a few people. You're not going to stop after killing our young emperor, and you even want our clan leader to commit suicide to atone for his sins. Don't you think you're being too overbearing? An elder walked out and shouted angrily. Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren glanced at him and lifted his hand to activate the gluttonous devouring technique, sucking his opponent towards him and strangling him. Everyone's expressions changed at that. Surges of Taoist rhymes erupted and locked onto Chu Kuangren, ready to strike at any moment. Just a few people? More than 16,800 lives are just a few people in your eyes? Shang Clan, how arrogant. Chu Kuangren clenched his fist, and a terrifying Taoist rhyme instantly crushed the elder's flesh and bones, ending his life force. Then he absorbed the elder's body into the avarice dimension and refined it. Arrogant. How dare you kill someone in front of us? Do you really want to start a war? One by one, the elders glared angrily at Chu Kuangren. However, Chu Kuangren just stood there fearlessly. Why don't all of you take a step forward after saying so much? Chu Kuangren swept his gaze across the crowd. Although these elders were all questioning him aggressively, not a single one of them dared to step forward, let alone attack him. His words made the Shang Clan elders' faces turn red, but still, not a single one of them dared to step forward. They were just too afraid of Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren, if I kill myself as an apology, this matter will end here, the Shang Clan leader said in a deep voice. Besides that, the Horizon Wing sect has built a tomb near Sunsoil City to bury those who died fighting against the million-strong tormented army. I want the Shang Clan's sage to personally go there and guard the tomb for 100 years. As soon as he said that, an incredibly terrifying aura suddenly erupted from the depths of the Shang Clan. A white-haired elder slowly walked out with a powerful sage's Taoist rhyme flowing around his body. This person was the Shang Clan's sage. Are you saying that you want me to guard the tomb for those ants for 100 years? The Shang Clan's sage said coldly. Chu Kuangren glanced at him. Watch your words. Those are the Horizon Wing sect's martyrs, not ants. It's all the same. The Shang Clan's sage yelled, and his terrifying sage's Taoist rhyme spread out like a tidal wave. In my eyes, they're no different from ants, and you want me to guard the tomb for 100 years? Chu Kuangren, how dare you? You're humiliating me. The Shang Clan's sage was furious. He was a sage. He was above billions of living beings, and he was born with pride. Yet now, Chu Kuangren wanted him to guard the tomb for a bunch of ants? If that was not humiliating him, what else could it be? The sages who were secretly observing the situation were also speechless. They did not expect Chu Kuangren to make such a request. It was too much for a sage to accept. I only have these two conditions. 1. Shang Han's father must kill himself as an apology. 2. The sage must guard the tomb for the martyrs for 100 years. Impossible. The Shang Clan's sage roared. Chu Kuangren was silent for a while. After a long while he sighed and said, Firstly, I don't want money, and secondly, I don't want you to give up your land. I'm just trying to seek justice for the dead. And I don't want to implicate the innocent. I thought you guys would agree. But now I've been too naive. A debt of blood must be repaid with blood. Then don't blame me for starting a massacre here today. As soon as he said that, the sword-based Taoist rhyme on his body surged out in an even more violent and domineering manner. It swept across the entire Shang Clan, and it was mixed with his bone-chilling killing intent. Everyone in the Shang Clan felt their scalps go numb. A huge battle erupted in an instant. The Shang Clan sage knew that Chu Kuangren was not easy to deal with, so he made the first move. With a punch, a violent sage's Taoist rhyme erupted. Chu Kuangren blocked it with his sword. When the two energies collided, the shockwave that erupted sent the weaker Shang Clan disciples flying. All disciples below the Battle Monarch realm, retreat from the battlefield. The Shang Clan leader shouted. He had investigated Chu Kuangren's abilities and knew that Chu Kuangren had the gluttonous devouring technique. A group battle would be useless against Chu Kuangren, and the ordinary disciples would only suffer unnecessary casualties. They might even become food for Chu Kuangren to replenish his spiritual power. Activate the Shang Clan's grand formation. The Shang Clan leader shouted again. On the ground, lines of mysterious runes began to circulate. A powerful force that was similar to the Battle Monarch domain, but many times stronger, suddenly pressed down on Chu Kuangren's body. Oh, is it similar to a gravitational force? Even so, what can you do to me? The 6 supreme foundation levels within Chu Kuangren's body shone brightly at the same time. Surging spiritual power circulated within his body to counteract the formation suppression. Chapter 259. Surging spiritual power surged in his body, counteracting the suppression of the formation. On the other hand, the Shang clan's sage seized the opportunity to attack Chu Kuangren. Terrifying Taoist rhymes circulated around him, and every punch he threw out felt like the world was collapsing. Upon seeing that, Chu Kuangren unsheathed his sword and was about to strike. However, at that moment, a terrifying suction force suddenly emerged from the ground. This suction force was not directed at anyone but the sword in Chu Kuangren's hand. It was as if the entire ground had turned into a magnet. Because Chu Kuangren was affected by the suction force, his sword attack speed was a little slower. He could only block with his sword in front of his chest and take on the Shang clan's sage's attack head-on. The huge recoil force blasted Chu Kuangren hundreds of feet away. "There's something underground that's affecting my sword." Chu Kuangren frowned as he looked at the ground. Apart from that, he noticed that the Shang clan saint and the others did not have any weapons in their hands. In other words, the thing underground was not only targeting swords, but also other metal weapons. "Looks like it really is a magnet. Only the legendary prime magnet can have this kind of magnetic force." Chu Kuangren laughed. The Shang clan leader chuckled. "That's right, Chu Kuangren. We've already investigated your battle techniques. You're indeed very powerful, but most of them are based on sword Dao. Whether it's your heaven-slaying sword drawing technique or your sword formation, these are your main techniques against sages. As long as your sword is restricted, your combat power will be reduced by at least half. Before you came, I had people bury nearly 500 kilograms of Yuan magnet underground. Now, your Kuan Wu sword and the sword formation can no longer be used. Coupled with the influence of my clan's great formation, you will die today." The leader of the Shang clan and the others looked very confident. The sages who were secretly observing were also quite surprised. They did not expect the Shang clan to prepare so much in just 3 days. This time, Chu Kuangren is really in danger. That's right. If he can't use his sword Dao, Chu Kuangren's combat strength will be reduced by at least half. How can he possibly deal with the Shang clan sage then? That's right. Furthermore, the Shang clan sage is a 6-step sage. He's much stronger than most of the other sages. Is Chu Kuangren really going to fall here today? Everyone suddenly felt that it was a little unbelievable. All these years, Chu Kuangren had brought too many surprises to them. Vaguely, he gave off a feeling that he was invincible. He was not invincible among the younger generation. He was invincible in the world. Although it was an exaggeration, Chu Kuangren had indeed displayed such momentum over the past few years, giving off a feeling that he was undefeatable. Even the saints had to admit that the other party was powerful. But now he was actually going to lose? What a pity. If he doesn't fall, the next 10,000 years will be his era. A sage could not help but sigh. It's good that he's dead. With him around, the geniuses of our various orthodoxies won't be able to stand out. There were also saints who were happy to see such an outcome. Don't jump to conclusions just yet. Chu Kuangren hasn't reached the end of his rope yet. A saint said calmly. As soon as he said that, everyone looked at the battlefield. To the crowd, Chu Kuangren, who was supposed to be in a desperate situation, was not panicking at all. Instead, he looked calm and did not seem worried about his situation at all. "You guys seem to know me quite well, and you even have a set of methods to deal with me. Unfortunately, what you know is only the previous me. What you've prepared is far from enough." Chu Kuangren then kept the descendant self-sword back into his spiritual mound before a terrifying ferocious qi and Taoist rhyme erupted from his body. Infallible tormented body. Activate. The peerlessly terrifying ferocious qi swept out like a tidal wave. Cultivators with a slightly stronger cultivation base and Taoist core were all shocked by this surge of power. This ferocious qi is so terrifying. What kind of technique is this? Wait a minute. This is the aura of a Taoist physique. Ferocious qi, Taoist physique. Could this be the legendary supreme Taoist physique, the infallible tormented physique? The Shang clan leader's pupils dilated as his eyes were filled with shock. The infallible tormented physique was one of the top 10 terrifying Taoist physiques among the 3,000 physiques. It was not any weaker than the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. Chu Kuangren had such a Taoist physique. This was not mentioned in the report. Not to mention the Shang clan. Even the spectating sages were shocked by Chu Kuangren's Taoist physique. Doesn't he have the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart? Why does he have the infallible tormented physique all of a sudden? What the hell is going on? D***. Can anyone tell me what's going on? The exquisite 9 orifices sword heart and the infallible tormented physique are the 6th and 7th supreme Taoist physiques among the 3,000 physiques. Isn't it a little too terrifying for him to possess both of them? There were only 30 supreme Taoist physiques among the 3,000 physiques. As long as one did not die in the future, becoming a sage was almost guaranteed. Even if one was born in this great Dharma emergence era, one might even have the chance to ascend to the emperor realm and become a mighty emperor. It was already a great fortune for an ordinary cultivator to possess even one such physique. Any orthodoxy would view that person as a god's prideful son and provide them with countless resources. However, Chu Kuangren had 2 of them. 2 supreme Taoist physiques on the same person. D***. The Shang clan's sage did not expect Chu Kuangren to have such a technique up his sleeves. However, there was no turning back now. Kill. With a loud roar, the Shang clan's sage charged forward. When Chu Kuangren saw that, he too channeled his spiritual power and gathered ferocious qi on his fist. The majestic Taoist rhymes and ferocious qi converged to form a black fist mark that erupted with a terrifying destructive aura. When the sage's Taoist rhymes collided with the Taoist physique's power, the void exploded with a boom, and violent shockwaves spread out like a tidal wave. The Shang clan's battle monarchs and honorables were all forced to retreat. In the arena, only Chu Kuangren and the Shang clan's sage were left fighting. That Shang clan's sage looked old, but each of his punches and kicks contained a powerful force that could shake mountains and rivers. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren's infallible tormented physique was extremely terrifying as well. Although it was only 40% away from the full mastery stage, the force that it unleashed was not any weaker than the Shang clan's sage, a 6th-step sage. The battle between the two made the spectators' hearts palpitate. 9 Heavenly Hurricane. The Shang clan's sage activated his sage technique. Compared to Shang Han, the Shang clan's sage technique was like heaven and earth. The violent storm swept towards Chu Kuangren, and the force contained within it was enough to kill most sages below 6th step. Divine Ferocious Avatar. Chu Kuangren let out a soft roar and activated the infallible tormented physique's exclusive divine ability. Terrifying ferocious qi gathered around his body and formed into a gigantic black humanoid figure that exuded an undefeatable battle intent. When the humanoid figure unleashed a punch, the air was compressed and a terrifying explosion erupted. The collision between the two peerless forces caused the entire Shang clan's territory to tremble violently. The ground was torn apart, and countless buildings were destroyed one by one. The Shang clan's people were sucked into the energy turbulence and were instantly pulverized into nothingness. Even a sage's spiritual thought could not see the battle clearly due to the chaotic energy. This battle is probably one of the most powerful battles below the Great Sage level. I can't believe Chu Kuangren has such combat strength. Infallible tormented physique, exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. What a monster! Chapter 260. The infallible tormented body was fighting against a 6th-step sage. As the battle progressed, Chu Kuangren's mastery of the infallible tormented physique grew more and more proficient, and the divine ferocious avatar behind him became more and more solid. Fist after fist, baleful qi surged and surged, and it was boundlessly terrifying. Even a 6th-step sage like the Shang clan's sage felt waves of pressure. The sage's Dao runes were only barely able to block it. After a fierce battle, both Chu Kuangren and the Shang clan's sage were forced back a few hundred meters. They looked at each other and saw the murderous intent in each other's eyes. Chu Kuangren, it's time to end this battle. The Shang clan's saint took something out from his chest. It was a beautiful red flower that was surrounded by mysterious Dao runes. The sages in the dark were shocked when they saw this red flower. This is a blood concealment flower. The holy medicine, the blood concealment flower. Rumor has it that this item can stimulate a cultivator's potential and allow them to unleash a combat ability that is far beyond their usual level. Indeed, I did not expect the Shang clan saint to have such an item. The Shang clan saint activated his spiritual power, and the blood-concealing flower in his hand instantly shattered, turning into dazzling red dots that were absorbed by him. At the same time, his aura continued to rise. 7-step saint. He actually rose from the 6th-step saint realm to the 7th-step saint realm. Although he was only 1 step away, his combat strength had increased to a whole new level. At this moment, the Shang clan saint's combat strength was so strong that just the aura he released was enough to distort the surrounding void. Yeah, it's time to end this, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Boundless divine light suddenly bloomed from his body, and streams of Wei rhymes circulated on his body. Fist path, sword path, saber path, nature path, 5 elements path, thunder path, Buddha path, surrounded by countless Taoist rhymes. It was as if Chu Kuangren had transformed into a Taoist ancestor, shocking everyone. So many Tao rhymes. How did he do it? Heavens, this power. Could it be the 10,000 techniques coalescence Taoist physique? No way, it can't be true, right? The Supreme Tao physique is second only to the Chaos physique and the Heavenly Golden Imperial physique. The all techniques return to one Tao physique. God, how could he have it? Even though the sages were experienced and knowledgeable, they were still dumbfounded. Having a supreme Taoist physique in one's body was already considered a great fortune. Chu Kuangren's exquisite 9 orifices sword heart and infallible tormented physique had already been determined by the sages to be unprecedented. But now his opponent had unleashed the 10,000 techniques coalescence Tao physique. There were a total of 3 supreme Taoist bodies. Did they still want to live? On top of that, he had condensed 6 supreme foundations. This was something that even a supreme Taoist physique might not be able to achieve. The sages did not dare to imagine how the other party had managed to do it. The Shang clan saint was also shocked, but this made him even more determined to kill. He roared and activated his strongest attack. 9 Heaven's Great Hurricane. With a furious roar, the Shang clan saint who had used the blood-concealing flower unleashed an unparalleled Taoist rhyme. Endless gales gushed out from the sky, and the black storm almost covered the sun. This strike actually formed a terrifying scene that resembled the end of the world. A terrifying pressure swept out in all directions. Chu Kuangren was shrouded in darkness and locked onto by the endless black storm. However, the Taoist rhyme light on his body was unusually dazzling. Transcendental might. With a low roar, the countless Taoist rhymes within Chu Kuangren's body condensed into a supreme mighty force that instantly erupted. Chu Kuangren then clasped his middle and middle fingers together and pointed his sword towards the sky. This mighty force, combined with a majestic ferocious qi, gushed out from his fingertips and turned into a radiant sword shadow that was composed of 3 colors, black, gold, and purple. The transcendental might, the innate ferocious qi, and the sword qi cultivated by the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. How terrifying was the combined power of these 3 supreme Taoist physiques. It was a force that could terrify even a sage. Slash. With a soft roar, Chu Kuangren commanded his sword to slash down. With an unstoppable force, the peerless sword shadow instantly tore through the black storm and landed on the Shang clan saint's body. Even a sage's body was as fragile as a piece of paper under this force, and it was easily torn in half. A large amount of sage's blood gushed out and splattered onto the ground. A loud thud was heard. The sage's body that was sliced in half fell to the ground. Chu Kuangren stood in the void, his white robes fluttering even though there was no wind. His ink-black hair and the lingering murderous qi still lingered on his body. At that moment, he looked like an immortal. More like a mad immortal. The sages who were secretly observing were speechless. The strength that Chu Kuangren had displayed was too terrifying. Not only that, but his invincible aura was even more obvious now. 10,000 years from now, the era of this person shall be his. I wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing that such a monster has appeared in the era of great battles. Chu Kuangren, this person's techniques are too extraordinary. He alone can take on one, no, several sage orthodoxies. Sages are high and mighty, but this person has killed 3 of them in just 1 year. How terrifying. The sage's spiritual thoughts retreated like the tide. The shock that Chu Kuangren brought to them today was too great. They had to go back and recuperate. With the Shang clan's sage killed, all the Shang clan disciples were extremely shocked. They looked at Chu Kuangren in the sky with despair in their eyes. The Shang clan's biggest backer had been killed. What else could they use to fight him? At that thought, they were filled with despair and fear. As for the dead young Emperor Shang Han, they no longer had any respect for him as they cursed in their hearts. It was all Shang Han's fault for attracting such a terrifying enemy to them. Chu Kuangren, how dare you kill my clan sage? Aren't you being too overbearing? The Shang clan leader roared. Firstly, I have the strength. Secondly, I have a good reason to do this. Thirdly, I've given you guys a chance. Chu Kuangren said calmly as he slowly landed on the ground. He then raised his hand and sucked the Shang clan sage's body into the avarice dimension to refine it. The spiritual power that he had expended during the battle with the sages was rapidly recovering. Now, are you going to kill yourself to atone for your sins? Or do you want me to do it myself? Chu Kuangren looked at the Shang clan leader and said, You. The Shang clan leader was so enraged that his entire body was trembling. He unleashed a palm attack at Chu Kuangren before he turned around and fled into the distance. Chu Kuangren easily shattered his opponent's attack and shook his head as he watched his opponent's fleeing figure. Foolish. He could even kill the Shang clan sage, and the Shang clan leader's cultivation level was only at the honorable supreme realm. To others, he might be extremely powerful, but to Chu Kuangren, there was no way he could escape. However, before he could make a move, a few Shang clan elders looked at each other and dashed out to stop the Shang clan leader. Clan leader, you can't leave. What are we going to do if you leave? For the Shang clan, please sacrifice yourself. The few Shang clan elders stopped the Shang clan leader and said, You're rebelling. You're a bunch of traitors. Seeing that, the Shang clan leader was so angry that his face turned green. At the same time, a strong sense of sorrow welled up in his heart. He did not expect that before he could die in Chu Kuangren's hands, he would be forced into a desperate situation by his clan. Chapter 261. The clan's elites then joined forces to attack the Shang clan leader. Although the Shang clan leader was an honorable supreme, he was beginning to show signs of fatigue under the combined attacks of the clan members. In addition to being surrounded by his clan members, he was disheartened and careless. As a result, he was hit and fell to the ground. What a good show. Chu Kuangren could not help but applaud as he watched from the side. The elders looked a little embarrassed. However, that was the only thing they could do to save their own lives. An elder escorted the Shang clan leader forward. Brother Chu, the Shang clan has offended you, so they deserve to die. He's Shang Han's father, so if you want to kill him, do as you please. Chu Kuangren did not even look at that elder. Instead, he took out the Lu clan's ancient sword from his yin and yang ring and said, Let me ask you, where did Shang Han get this Lu clan's ancient sword from? It seems that the origin of this Lu clan's ancient sword is very important to you. But I'll never tell you a word about it. The Shang clan leader sneered. He knew that he would die today. If that was the case, why would he say anything that would benefit Chu Kuangren? This sword looks familiar. At that moment, one of the elders suddenly let out a soft gasp. The Shang clan leader was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Tell me, why does this ancient sword look familiar? Where have you seen it before? Chu Kuangren smiled and looked at that elder. F***CK. Why do you think this ancient sword looks familiar? Where have you seen it before? That elder thought for a while. A few years ago, I went to the Nimbus city. There's a branch of the Shang clan there, and I saw this ancient sword there. However, I didn't pay much attention to it. Although the Lu clan's ancient sword was made of special materials, it had no other uses other than opening the enchanted boundary of the Lu city. To those who did not know about the Lu kingdom's treasures, the Lu clan's ancient sword was not even comparable to an ordinary honorable weapon. Therefore, that elder did not pay much attention to it at that time. He did not expect to see this ancient sword again in such an occasion a few years later. It was truly a surprise to him. I remember now. The young emperor, oh no, Shang Han went to the Nimbus city some time ago too. One of the Shang clan disciples suddenly said. The Nimbus city, the Shang clan's branch. Chu Kuangren seemed to be deep in thought. It seemed like Shang Han had obtained the Lu family's ancient sword from the Shang clan's side branch. Would the Shang clan's side branch have a descendant of the white-robed general? Looks like I have to make a trip to Cloud City, Chu Kuangren muttered. Fellow Daoist Chu, if you don't mind, I can lead the way for you, the elder at the side suddenly said in a flattering manner. Chu Kuangren gave it some thought. After all, they were from the Shang clan's side branch. Bringing along a Shang clan elder might make things easier for them, so he agreed to it. By the way, fellow Chu, what about him? The Shang clan elder pointed at the Shang clan leader and said, Kill him. Chu Kuangren said calmly. There was no need for him to do it himself. Someone else would do it for him. Not long after, the dignified Shang clan leader, a supreme sovereign, died in the hands of his own clansmen. A sage and an honorable supreme. This should be enough to comfort the souls of the Horizon Wing sect's martyrs. An elder said cautiously. When Chu Kuangren heard that, he glared at him. His gaze was like a bone-piercing cold sword that pierced through the elder's heart. The elder's legs turned to jelly, and he immediately knelt on the ground. I've said too much. Please, Brother Chu, no, Sect Leader Chu, spare my life. How can the lives of your Shang clan sage and clan leader be enough to compensate for more than 18,000 lives? Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Upon hearing that, everyone from the Shang clan knelt on the ground in unison. Their bodies trembled as they were shrouded by a great sense of fear. What did Chu Kuangren mean by that? Had he not killed enough? Would he only be satisfied after wiping out the entire Shang clan? No one dared to ask. Everyone was terrified because they knew that their lives were now in Chu Kuangren's hands. From today onwards, the Shang clan shall take turns to send 10 honorables to the Horizon Wing sect to keep vigil for the dead. They shall obey the Horizon Wing sect's orders for 1,000 years. If anyone disobeys, the Shang clan shall cease to exist. Chu Kuangren said calmly. To him, the Shang clan was no longer a threat. Moreover, the main culprit who released the million tormented souls, Shang Han, was dead. Not only that, but he had also lost a clan leader and a sage. In the battle, the number of Shang clan members who died was uncountable. As for the remaining people, there was no longer any meaning in killing them. It was better to keep them alive to help rebuild the Horizon Wing sect. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they heard that. As long as they were still alive, everything was fine. As for keeping vigil for the Horizon Wing sect's martyrs, obeying the Horizon Wing sect's orders, and becoming their slaves, although that would be a disgrace to the Shang clan, they were too afraid of Chu Kuangren to disobey him. Let's go to the Nimbus City, Chu Kuangren said. Apart from seeking justice for the Horizon Wing sect's dead, the most important reason he came to the Shang clan this time was to find the white-robed general's descendants. News of Chu Kuangren's visit to the Shang clan and his slaying of a sage gradually spread. Many forces were terrified when they learned about it. A year ago, he killed 2 of the Murong clan sages for Murong Xian. A year later, he returned to the realm and killed a 6-step Shang clan sage for an affiliated force. Chu Kuangren's tyrannical behavior made everyone fearful. However, he always had a reason for his actions, and that was what made everyone helpless. Even if some of the forces wanted to band together to suppress Chu Kuangren, they would not have an excuse. Of course, they could always find an excuse, but the prerequisite was that they had to be able to suppress Chu Kuangren. Among the current sage orthodoxies, not many possessed such strength. Near the ancient battlefield, in the Horizon Wing sect, the Horizon Wing sect's sect master, who had just received news of Chu Kuangren wreaking havoc in the Shang clan, was shocked. He then bowed in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. Sect leader, you're so righteous. Behind him, a group of elders and disciples knelt on the ground and bowed in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. Sect leader, you're so righteous. The sect leader is righteous, Lung Chongkong said worriedly. Sect master, although the sect leader has sought justice for us, won't the sages be jealous of him for killing sages one after another? Won't that cause trouble for him? The sect leader naturally has his reasons for doing what he does. As for the sages being jealous of him, that's for sure. But so what? The Horizon Wing sect's sect master had a look of admiration on his face. If they want to cause trouble for the sect leader, they'll have to weigh their own strength first. Putting aside the fact that the sect leader has a reason for killing a sage, they can't find a reason to go against him. Even if they do, the sect leader's strength is unparalleled. He has the support of the Black Heaven sect, the Royal Azure dynasty, and the School of White Lotus. Besides that, I heard that the sect leader's reputation is slowly spreading among the Buddhist orthodoxies. Many Buddhist cultivators think that he's a living Buddha. With that, no one would dare to touch the sect leader. The current Chu Kuangren, be it in terms of background or strength, was so terrifying that it could make one's hair stand on end. It was too difficult to deal with him. After the mess that Chu Kuangren had wreaked in the Shang clan, the Horizon Wing sect became even more loyal to the Black Heaven sect. The other affiliated forces were also more determined to cling on to the Black Heaven sect. Chapter 262. Vermilion Phoenix Domain, Nimbus City. The 4 domains of the firmament star were extremely vast, with tens of thousands of prefectures. The Nimbus City of the Vermilion Phoenix domain was located in a place called the Yellowgale Prefecture, which was considered a large city. There were 3 powerful forces in Nimbus City, namely the Shang clan, the Bai clan, and the Ancient Water sect. These 3 forces had a firm grasp on Nimbus City's economic lifeline and various cultivation resources. They were backed by sage orthodoxies as well. However, recently, the Shang clan's side branch had been having a hard time. In the Nimbus City Shang clan's main hall, Shang Long was in a meeting with a few elders with a serious expression on his face. Deacon Bai came to report today that the Bai clan had gone to our shop to cause trouble again, and many things were destroyed. Besides that, the Soulstone mine in the north has also been taken over. If this goes on, we'll be finished. The Bai clan came to propose marriage again the day before yesterday. D***, these people are so shameless. They've done so many despicable things, yet they still dare to propose marriage. Sigh, now that the Shang clan's main branch is in trouble, the Bai clan will take the opportunity to kick them while they're down. This is all within our expectations. The few elders discussed among themselves, and Shang Long felt a headache coming on. As the news of the Shang clan's heavy losses spread, the Shang clan's side branches were affected to varying degrees. To be honest, he did not have much of a sense of belonging to the Shang clan's main branch. One could even say that he disliked them. These people from the main branch stayed in their own territories to cultivate and enjoy their lives, leaving all the dirty work to the side branches. They even relied on their powerful strength to exploit them. Although the main branch and the side branches were all members of the Shang clan, their statuses were worlds apart. In the past, Shang Long even thought that if anything happened to the main branch, he would be grinning from ear to ear. However, that was just a thought. He knew very well that although the main branch did not treat them well, they were still the Shang clan's side branches. If anything happened to the main branch, they would not have it easy either. Sure enough, his prediction had come true in the past few days. After Chu Kuangren's incident, the Shang clan's direct line of descent had suffered a great deal of damage. The various forces that were initially wary of the Shang clan had gradually revealed their fangs and claws, wanting to take a bite out of the Shang clan for a share of the pie. If this continues, I'm afraid that there will no longer be a place for the Shang clan in Cloud City. After finishing the discussion with the other elders, Shang Long sat on a chair and said with some fatigue. Behind him, a gentle woman walked up and gently rubbed his temples. What's wrong? Is it very difficult? The Bai family is closing in on us step by step, and the Ancient Water sect is eyeing us like a tiger watching its prey. Both of them want to divide and conquer our Shang clan. Shang Long sighed. Husband, if worse comes to worst, let's just leave Cloud City. Let's wait and see. I can leave, but there are still thousands of side branch disciples in Cloud City. What should we do with them? Shang Long was still unable to abandon so many of his clansmen. It's all that Chu Kuangren's fault. At that moment, the gentle woman grumbled. If it wasn't for Chu Kuangren turning the Shang clan upside down, the Bai family and Ancient Water sect wouldn't have dared to attack us so recklessly. Shang Han took your family's ancient sword, and Chu Kuangren killed him and wreaked havoc in the Shang clan's direct line of descent. Last night, you even praised him for avenging you. Shang Long smiled faintly. I didn't know that this incident would have such a huge impact. Look at how tired you are now, husband. The woman said with a pained expression. I'm fine. Shang Long patted the back of the woman's hand and comforted her. Clan leader, this is bad. The Bai family's people are here again. This time, the Bai family's eldest young master has personally brought his people here. At that moment, a servant walked in and said hurriedly. Then, a handsome young man in a brocade robe walked into the great hall with a few guards behind him. One of them was an old man who stood beside the young man. Although he did not say anything, Shang Long's expression changed when he saw him. Young Master Bai, what is the meaning of this? Shang Long frowned. Clan leader Shang, I'll cut to the chase. Today, I'm here to bring Qingxue back with me for the wedding ceremony. The young man, who was also the young Master Bai, said. The Shang clan's eldest young mistress was well known in Nimbus City. She was known as the Nimbus City's #1 beauty, and he had been coveting her for a long time. However, he never had the chance to do so. This time, the Shang clan had suffered an unprecedented blow, and it was his chance. Qingxue will not marry you. Please go back. Shang Long said calmly. Clan leader Shang, Qingxue has to leave with me even if she doesn't want to. I'm determined to bring her along today. Give it a try if you dare. A woman's voice came from outside the door. A woman in a long white dress with exquisite features and snow-white skin walked into the great hall with a cold expression. She was the Nimbus City Shang clan's eldest young mistress, Shang Qingxue. Upon seeing her, the young master of the Bai family had a fiery look in his eyes. He then said, Qingxue, I'm sure you're aware of the Shang clan's current situation. Only you can save the Shang clan now. As long as you come back with me and marry me, the Shang clan will form an alliance with the Bai family through marriage, and this crisis will naturally be overcome. The young master of the Bai family said confidently. It was obvious that he was determined to get his hands on Shang Qingxue. Upon hearing his words, a hint of struggle flashed across Shang Qingxue's eyes. She had witnessed her family's difficulties for the past few days. However, marrying the young master of the Bai family was definitely not what she wanted. She knew that he was only coveting her body. Impossible. Even if I, Shang Long, have to fight to the death with the Bai family, I'll never sell my daughter for glory. Shang Long was furious. He slammed the table and stood up, glaring at the young master of the Bai family. Bai Feng, get out of the Shang clan immediately. The young master of the Bai family remained unperturbed. The elderly man beside him took a step forward and said, Today the young master wants to take Shang Qingxue away. No one can stop him. Bai family's grand elder, this is the Shang clan's territory. Do you really want to fight? Shang Long snorted. Although he was imposing, his eyes were filled with fear. The Bai family's grand elder was the strongest person in the Bai family. He was even stronger than Shang Long, and there were few in Nimbus City who could rival him. However, this was the Shang clan after all. There were many experts here. Although the Bai family's grand elder was strong, it was impossible for him to fight against so many. Shang Long, it seems like you still don't understand the situation. The Bai family's grand elder sneered. A few Shang clan elders suddenly walked in. Clan leader, please agree to this marriage. One of the elders took a deep breath and said. That's right, clan leader, please agree to it. This is the only way for the Shang clan to overcome this crisis. Looking at the few elders before him, Shang Long's face was filled with disbelief. What's the meaning of this? Clan leader, the situation is stronger than us. It's not advisable to fight them head-on. It's time for Lady Shang to contribute to the Shang clan. One of the elders said calmly. Haha, clan leader Shang, look, even the elders understand this better than you. You'd better accept your fate and betroth Shang Qingxue to me. In the future, I can still call you father-in-law. The young master of the Bai family laughed. Forced marriage? It can't be. I've encountered such a lousy plot the moment I arrived. Just then, a voice came from outside the door. Chapter 263. The Shang clan's side family was in trouble, and the Bai family's young clan leader was here to force a marriage. Just as the few elders were about to change sides, a cold voice came from outside the Shang clan's great hall. A few people walked in. The one walking at the front was a young man. He wore a wide-sleeved white robe and a jade crown on his head. His temperament was extraordinary, just like an immortal. The moment he appeared, he stunned everyone present. Even the usually arrogant Shang clan lady could not help but be dazed for a moment when she saw this young man. How could there be such a good-looking man in this world? The Bai family's young clan leader looked at the young man with jealousy in his eyes. He knew that he was one of the few handsome men in Nimbus City. However, in front of this young man, he looked extremely mediocre. Needless to say, the ones who came were Chu Kuangren, Lan Yu and the Shang clan elder who led the way. Who are you people? Shang Long looked at the few people in front of him and frowned. The Shang clan elder beside Chu Kuangren did not say a word and immediately took out an elder's token. The Shang clan members' expressions changed when they saw it. Direct clan elder. It's someone from the direct clan, and an elder at that. Greetings, elder. Shang Long and the others quickly bowed. Beside them, the Bai family's young clan leader frowned. Someone from the Shang clan's direct clan. Why would they come to Nimbus City at this time? Chu Kuangren had wreaked havoc in the Shang clan, causing them to suffer heavy casualties. Why would the direct clan elder come to Nimbus City instead of resting in the clan? The Bai family's young clan leader was puzzled, but since the Shang clan's direct clan elder was here, it would not end well for them if they stayed any longer. Let's leave first. The Bai family's young clan leader led his people away. Before he left, he and the Bai clan elder beside him glanced at Chu Kuangren. They had a feeling that this person was not as simple as he seemed. However, Chu Kuangren did not care about them. He looked at Shang Long and took out the Lu clan's ancient sword without saying a word. Does this sword belong to you? The crowd was puzzled as they did not know what Chu Kuangren was trying to do. Shang Long even looked at the direct clan elder, hoping that he could give him some hints. Whatever sect leader Chu asks, just answer it. The direct descendant elder said lightly. Meanwhile, when Shang Long and the others heard the words sect leader Chu, their faces instantly turned pale. Some of the elders even felt their legs turn to jelly, and they almost fell to the ground as they looked at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. Sect leader Chu, please take a seat. Shang Long hurriedly ushered Chu Kuangren to the main seat, not daring to be negligent at all. The person in front of him was someone he could only look up to but not reach. He didn't expect that he would meet him one day. This sword is yours. Chu Kuangren sat on the main seat and asked again. Shang Long looked at the Lu family's ancient sword. It's ours. Of course he knew this sword. It was his wife's family heirloom. Where did it come from? This is an ancient sword passed down in my family, the girl beside Shang Long said. Chu Kuangren activated his Eye of Revelation and looked at the lady before him. Lu Yun, the wife of Shang Long, the branch clan leader of Shang clan. His surname is Lu? Is it related to the Lu kingdom? However, that did not mean anything. He continued to use his Eye of Revelation to peer into her information. The Eye of Revelation seemed to have sensed his thoughts as well, and it quickly brought up the information of the other party's bloodline. Her bloodline contains a trace of the White Robe General's aura. Probability of being a descendant of the White Robe General is as high as 97%. Looks like I've found the right person. Chu Kuangren then looked at Shang Qingxue who was beside him. Shang Qingxue, daughter of Lu Yun. Golden Core late-stage cultivation level. She possesses the deep freeze physique, but it has yet to be activated. Her bloodline contains a trace of the White Robe General's aura. Probability of being a descendant of the White Robe General is as high as 97%. Oh, it's a hidden Taoist physique too. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. However, he did not take it to heart. Although the deep freeze physique was a top-notch Taoist physique, it was nothing to him since he had 3 supreme Taoist physiques. He then took out the jade pendant that the White Robe General gave him. The jade pendant vibrated slightly. With the Eye of Revelation and the White Robe General's proof, he could confirm that Lu Yun and Shang Qingxue were the White Robe General's descendants. Why do you have this jade pendant? At that moment, Lu Yun was extremely shocked. She took out a jade pendant that looked exactly the same and said, "This jade pendant belongs to my ancestor. Why do you have it with you?" Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren curiously. Chu Kuangren said, "I have an agreement with your ancestor to help him find his descendants. He asked me to take care of you too." Lu Yun's expression was a little strange. This jade pendant was an antique from tens of thousands of years ago. Her ancestor had passed away tens of thousands of years ago, so why would Chu Kuangren have an agreement with him? Compared to Lu Yun's confusion, Shanglong and the other elders were shocked as they carefully analyzed the meaning behind Chu Kuangren's words. Take care of Lu Yun and Shang Qingxue. F***CKme. This meant that he wanted to be their backer. If the person before them was really who they thought he was, then this was undoubtedly a great opportunity of fortune. Clan leader Shanglong, please arrange 2 guest rooms for us. I plan to stay here for 2 days, Chu Kuangren said. Since he had promised the white-robed general to take care of his descendants, then he should make some preparations for this pair of mother and daughter. Yes, I'll arrange it immediately, Shanglong quickly said. After Chu Kuangren and his daughter left, Shanglong and the others in the great hall fell into silence. One of the elders asked the main elder, "Elder, is this person really the person we thought he was?" The main elder nodded. Yes. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Oh God, it really is Chu Kuangren. However, they were puzzled again. Elder, isn't Chu Kuangren the Shang clan's enemy? Why is he here? Shut up. The main elder's expression changed as he looked around in fear. He only breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that Chu Kuangren was indeed far away. Who told you that sect leader Chu is our enemy? Don't ever say such things again, or I'll kill you with one slap. Yes, we understand. Seeing that, Shanglong and the others secretly shuddered. The main elder was an important person to them. One word from him could determine the existence of their branch clan. Yet he was so afraid of Chu Kuangren. It was unimaginable. The main elder then looked at Lu Yun and Shang Qingxue and said enviously, "The 2 of you are going to have a meteoric rise in your lives." Who was Chu Kuangren? It was not an exaggeration to say that if he decided to protect someone, even if that person was an ordinary person, not many people would dare to touch them. Similarly, if he wanted to help someone, even if that person was an idiot, they would still be able to skyrocket. Besides the main elder, the other elders also looked at the mother and daughter pair with envy. Even Shanglong was envious. When they thought about how they wanted to marry Shang Qingxue into the Bai clan, they could not help but want to slap themselves. They almost gave up such an opportunity of fortune to someone else. Clan leader, please don't mind what happened just now. We had no other choice. We watched Qingxue grow up, so we can't bear to part with her. Yes, it's inevitable that we would be a little muddle-headed when our clan's survival is at stake. Please forgive us, clan leader. The few elders quickly apologized for their earlier actions. Shanglong watched from the side with an expressionless face, but he did not say anything. He had long seen through these conflicts of interest. Chapter 264. Nimbus City by Family. The young Bai family leader and the Grand Elder returned in disappointment. D***minute. A Shang clan elder suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The young Bai family patriarch snorted coldly. The Bai family was not any weaker than the Shang clan, but unfortunately, the Bai family in Nimbus City was just a side branch. Against a Shang clan elder, they could only avoid him for now. Feng, you're back. The Bai family leader greeted Bai Feng upon seeing him, then frowned. What's wrong? You didn't bring Shang Qingxue back? Don't mention it. A direct elder came. Bai Feng recounted the incident in full detail. The Bai family leader was slightly surprised after listening to him. He pondered for a while and said, "Let's not talk about this for now. Let me introduce you to an important person. This person is from the direct elder. You must show some respect when you meet him." Oh, an important person from the direct elder? Young Emperor Bai Shuiyun. Bai Feng's expression changed. It's the Bai family young emperor. Why is the young emperor here in Nimbus City all of a sudden? Haha, this is good news. All these years, your father has made countless contributions to the Bai family. Now that the direct elder is preparing to promote me, they've asked the young emperor to send me a supreme weapon. Is that so? That's great. Bai Feng was overjoyed. He walked into the main hall and saw a young man dressed in black sitting inside. This young man had a pale face and a feminine aura. Behind him were 2 beautiful maids. This man was the Bai family young emperor, Bai Shuyan. Greetings, young emperor. Bai Feng bowed to Bai Shuyan. No need for formalities. Bai Lin has mentioned you to me before. You're quite talented. Work hard and you'll have a chance to join the direct elder. The Bai Lin he mentioned was naturally the Bai family leader of Nimbus City. Hearing these words, Bai Feng was over the moon. If he could join the direct line of descent, he would have a meteoric rise in his career. Thinking of this, he felt a burning desire in his heart. He was determined to cling on to Bai Shuiyun. He glanced at the maids behind him, and suddenly remembered the rumors about Bai Shuiyun that had been circulating in the family. It was said that even though the young emperor was extremely talented, he was obsessed with beauties and would bring 1 or 2 beauties with him wherever he went. He couldn't help but think of Shang Qingxue of the Shang clan. He smiled and said, I heard that the young emperor is fond of romance. These 2 handmaidens have extraordinary postures. I guess only Shang Qingxue of the Shang clan can beat them in Cloud City. Shang Qingxue? The Bai family's young emperor's eyes suddenly lit up. That's right. This person has the reputation of being the #1 beauty in Cloud City. Naturally, her appearance is extraordinary. Bai Feng laughed heartily. Since that's the case, then let her serve me in bed. Bai Shuiyin said lightly. Hearing this, Bai Feng's mouth twitched twice. Should I say, as expected of a young emperor? How domineering. Did he think that just because he asked someone to serve him in bed, they would come? Young emperor, this Shang Qingxue is stubborn. I'm afraid she won't comply. Moreover, a direct elder of the Shang clan came today. If he finds out about this, I don't think he'll agree to it either. It's just a direct elder of the Shang clan. The Shang clan can't even protect themselves now, so what's an elder like him? I, Bai Shuiyun, have never failed to get the woman I want. 5th forefather, I'll have to trouble you to make a trip. Bai Shuiyun said calmly. An old man walked out from the void. This person was one of the forefathers of the Bai family, the current young emperor protector of the Bai family, the 5th Bai forefather. 5th Bai ancestor wasn't surprised to hear that Bai Shuiyun wanted a woman. So he nodded and agreed to it. Bring the 5th forefather there. Tonight, I want Shang Qingxue to lie on my bed. Bai Shuiyun licked his lips and said, Yes. Bai Feng nodded, feeling a little heartache. Shang Qingxue was also a woman that he fancied. However, in order to build a good relationship with Bai Shuiyun, he had no choice but to give her up. Cloud City Shang clan. Chu Kuangren was deep in thought in his room. The white-robed general asked me to take care of his descendants. How should I take care of them? Shang Qingxue has the deep freeze physique, but it hasn't been activated yet. If I help her activate it, it should be considered as taking care of her. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. A golden pill appeared in his hand. It was a pill called the Enlightenment Pill. It could allow one's cultivation to enter a state of enlightenment, and at the same time, awaken some Taoist physiques. It was a gold-grade item. However, this pill was completely useless to him. He had always kept it in his inventory, so it was suitable to give it to Shang Qingxue. Lan Yu, help me call Shang Qingxue over. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Lan Yu was stunned for a moment, but she soon nodded. She found Shang Long and the others who were still gathered in the Great Hall. She glanced at Shang Qingxue and said, Master is looking for you. Follow me. The elders were stunned when they heard that. Then, they looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. Could it be that Chu Kuangren was interested in Shang Qingxue? If that was the case, then that would be great news. They were still worried about how to get into Chu Kuangren's good graces. Oh, Qingxue, since sect leader Chu is looking for you, you should go. Remember to perform well. That's right. Shang Long's face turned pale. He quickly said, May I know why sect leader Chu is looking for my daughter? I don't know, but Master is looking for her. Just follow me. But Shang Long still wanted to say something. Shang Qingxue, who was beside him, spoke first. Let's go. Qingxue. Don't worry, father. I believe sect leader Chu won't do anything to me. Shang Qingxue smiled. There was something else that she did not say. If Chu Kuangren really wanted to do anything to her, what could the Shang clan do about it? Since she could not fight back, She might as well just go along with it. TSK, you should be happy. You know what kind of person sect leader Chu is. If he's interested in your daughter, that's a blessing that you've cultivated for 8 lifetimes. The main elder said enviously. Shang Long and Lu Yun looked at each other helplessly. They were too weak. In front of such a powerful person, there was no way they could resist. On the way to bring Shang Qingxue to meet Chu Kuangren, Lan Yu glanced at her and saw that she was nervous. She said, "Don't worry, Master isn't interested in you like you think." She knew Chu Kuangren very well. It could be said that she was the person who knew Chu Kuangren the most besides himself. If Chu Kuangren was really interested in beauty, something would have happened between them after so many years. Rather than talking about Master, it's better to talk about you. Don't have any improper thoughts about Master, Lan Yu added. Shang Qingxue was a little embarrassed. For a beauty like her, it was usually other people who had improper thoughts about her. However, when she thought about Chu Kuangren's otherworldly appearance, temperament and status, she could not refute Lan Yu's words. That kind of person, even if it was her, she would only be able to climb the social ladder. Soon, Shang Qingxue arrived at Chu Kuangren's room. When she saw the charming man in front of her, Shang Qingxue felt a sense of inferiority. She said, "May I know why sect leader Chu is looking for me?" Chu Kuangren took out the enlightenment pill. "Take this." Chapter 265. Take this pill. Chu Kuangren said as he took out the enlightenment pill. Shang Qingxue looked at the pill in front of her in shock. The fragrance of the pill permeated the air, causing her body to tremble slightly. It was as if something was about to gush out. "What kind of pill is this?" "Take it. It's good for you." Shang Qingxue hesitated for a while before she took the pill and swallowed it. A majestic medicinal effect instantly exploded in her body and spread throughout her limbs, warming her up. Ah! She was so comfortable that she could not help but let out a moan. Then she covered her mouth in embarrassment. However, the medicinal effect was still surging in her body. Wave after wave, it continuously washed through her muscles, bones, and meridians, causing her body to feel numb. What kind of strange pill is this? Shang Qingxue wriggled her body, her face so red that it looked like blood was about to drip out. Chu Kuangren was a little confused too. "What's with this pill?" "He gave me an enlightenment pill, right?" Those who did not know better would think that he gave her some kind of dirty pill. Under the impact of the medicinal effect, Shang Qingxue gradually reached her peak. At that moment, her mind went blank as she fell into a state of epiphany. The Taoist rhymes of heaven and earth appeared in front of her. Not long after, the medicinal effect gradually disappeared. What replaced it was a cold current that gushed out from the depths of her body. The cold current spread in all directions with her as the center. The floor tiles under her feet, the kettle on the table, in the blink of an eye, the whole room was covered in a thick layer of frost. "This place can't hold anyone anymore. We need to move to another place," Chu Kuangren said helplessly as he looked at the awakened Shang Qingxue. At that moment, she looked around in disbelief. There was a strange yet familiar energy flowing in her body. That energy was bone-chilling, but it did not affect her at all as it flowed through her body. On the contrary, it continued to strengthen her spiritual power. What is this? Don't be surprised. This is the power that belongs to you. It's the top-notch Taoist physique among the 3,000 physiques. Deep freeze physique. I have a Taoist physique. Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded and briefly explained. Shang Qingxue walked out of the room and asked someone to change Chu Kuangren and his companion into another room. Then, she quietly walked back to the main hall. The elders, who were about to disperse, couldn't help but be surprised to see her return. "Why did you come back so quickly?" "It couldn't be. This sect leader Chu was done so quickly?" "Qingxue, what did sect leader Chu ask you to do?" Shang Long quickly asked. "Sect master Chu gave me a medicinal pill." Shang Qingxue explained everything in detail. Then she activated the power of frost in her body and formed an ice crystal in her palm. Everyone looked at each other, not expecting this result. The elders could not help but feel a little disappointed. Looks like sect leader Chu doesn't like Qingxue. Yes. I already knew that sect leader Chu wasn't the kind of person who would be tempted by lust. Only you people would have such dirty thoughts. You're the one who has it. Sect leader Chu is a celestial being. I already knew that he called Qingxue over because he had other plans. Actually, I already knew that Qingxue wasn't an ordinary person. I knew that she wasn't just an ordinary person. All she needed was a chance of fortune to soar into the sky. Shang Long could not help but feel helpless as he looked at the elder's reaction. At that moment, the sounds of fighting could be heard from outside. The elders' expressions changed as they immediately rushed out. They saw Bai Feng leading a few Bai clan experts as they swaggered in. Along the way, the Shang clan guards fell to the ground. Bai Feng. It's him. Why is he back? D***it. How dare he bring people here to cause trouble? Shang Long and the others were furious. They rushed out and yelled, "Stop!" Both sides immediately faced off against each other. Hand Shang Qingxue over or bear the consequences. Bai Feng said coldly. The Shang clan elder frowned. How dare a small branch of the Bai clan be so arrogant? Do you really think that just because the Shang clan has fallen, anyone can bully us? He took a step forward, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body. At that moment, another aura erupted from the void as well. It seemed to be even stronger than the elders. A gray-robed elder walked out, and his majestic Taoist rhyme suppressed the Shang clan members. What are you going to do about it if we bully the Shang clan? The gray-robed elder snorted, his eyes flashing like lightning. When the direct descendant elder saw this, his complexion changed fiercely. This aura is Supreme Honorable. Which Bai clan ancestor are you? He never expected that the Bai clan would send an honorable supreme to this tiny Nimbus city. This kind of person was rare even in the Bai clan. Not only him, but the rest of the Shang clan members were also shocked. An honorable supreme was a peerless character that they could only dream of, and now, he was standing opposite them. I am the Bai clan's fifth forefather. Fifth Bai forefather declared proudly. His gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on Shang Qingxue. Looks like you're Shang Qingxue. You're quite the beauty. Follow me back to serve the young emperor. As he spoke, he took a step forward. His speed was so fast that even the Shang clan's elder could not react in time. In the blink of an eye, fifth Bai forefather appeared in front of Shang Qingxue. He reached out his hand, wanting to capture her. Shang Qingxue instinctively activated the newly awakened deep freeze physique within her. With a palm strike, a cold current erupted. This is the deep freeze physique. Fifth Bai forefather was slightly surprised. He lifted his hand to shatter the cold current, and easily grabbed Shang Qingxue. Even though she had awakened the deep freeze physique, Shang Qingxue was still too weak. Before an honorable supreme, she was just like an ant. However, this did not stop fifth Bai forefather from being surprised. I didn't expect a top-notch Taoist physique to be hidden in this tiny Nimbus city. Not bad, not bad. You'll be more than enough to be the young emperor's concubine. Fifth Bai forefather was elated. If a deep freeze physique were to mature, she might not become a saint or an emperor, but she would definitely become a mainstay of an orthodoxy. Becoming an exalted supreme like him was practically a done deal. Let her go. Shang Long and the others were shocked. The Shang clan elder said coldly, Fifth Bai forefather, I advise you to let her go. Otherwise, not only you, but your entire Bai clan will not be able to bear the consequences of hurting her. Haha, what a joke. Who do you think you're trying to scare? What can a sageless Shang clan do to my Bai clan? Fifth Bai forefather said disdainfully. If the Shang clan can't do anything to you, then what about me? At that moment, a cold voice was heard. Not far away, a man and a woman slowly walked out from the corridor. Especially the young man at the front. His extraordinary temperament was very eye-catching, and it immediately attracted everyone's attention. Who are you? When Fifth Bai forefather saw Chu Kuangren, he instinctively felt a threat that made his scalp tingle and his heart race. My surname is Chu. Surname Chu. Fifth Bai forefather's pupils shrank as if he had thought of something. He carefully sized up Chu Kuangren, and the more he looked, the paler his face became. White robes, long sword appearance, temperament, and the silver-haired woman beside him, These made fifth by forefather more or less certain of Chu Kuangren's identity. Chapter 266. F***CK. F***CK me. How the F***CK did I offend this guy? Fifth by forefather was on the verge of a mental breakdown. White robes, a long sword, that kind of appearance, coupled with the silver-haired lady beside him whose surname was Chu. On top of that, he felt a sense of danger from that person. It would be weird if he could not guess who that person was. The person in front of him was definitely Chu Kuangren. Although he did not know why Chu Kuangren, who had killed the Shang clan sage, would side with the Shang clan, it was obvious that Chu Kuangren wanted to protect Shang Qingxue. It was as if he was backing her up. What else could he do? Of course, he would just let go of Shang Qingxue. Brother Chu, I really didn't know you were here, nor did I know that this lady is related to you. I'm truly sorry. Fifth by forefather lowered his stance. That scene shocked many people at the scene, especially Bai Feng. This was especially so for Bai Feng. His face was filled with doubt. Fifth ancestor, what's wrong with you? Does this person have some sort of background? B*****. Fifth by forefather roared at him. It's all your fault for instigating the young emperor to let me capture Shang Qingxue. That's why Brother Chu was disturbed. You deserve to die 1,000 times over. At that, Fifth by forefather ignored the terrified Bai Feng. He placed his palm on Bai Feng's head, and a violent surge of spiritual power poured out. In an instant, a mist of blood exploded. Bai Feng died on the spot. Chu Kuangren watched from the side, without saying a word. However, Shang Qingxue, Shang Long, and the others were shocked and in disbelief. Chu Kuangren's intimidation was just too terrifying. He did not even do anything. All he did was show that he wanted to protect Shang Qingxue. Yet an honorable supreme had no choice but to kill his own clan member in order to escape punishment. It was too terrifying. Did I ask you to do it? Chu Kuangren said calmly. Fifth by forefather's body trembled at those words. He said fearfully, I've crossed the line. Please forgive me, Brother Chu. No, sect leader Chu. Forget it. Go back and tell the Bai clan's leader that I've killed the Shang clan sage. But the people of the Shang clan wanted to keep a vigil for the Horizon Wing sect's martyrs. Tell them not to play any tricks. Otherwise, I don't mind paying the Bai clan a visit. Chu Kuangren said nonchalantly. His words scared the fifth by forefather so much that his scalp went numb. Anyone could tell that this was not a simple visit. After a trip to the Morong clan, 2 saints were gone. After paying a visit to the Shang clan, the saint of the Shang clan was gone. Fifth by forefather could not imagine what kind of scene it would be if Chu Kuangren were to pay a visit to the Bai family. Yes, sect leader Chu, I will definitely convey your message. All right, take your people and leave. Yes. Fifth by forefather felt as if he had just escaped death. He hurriedly led the remaining Bai family members away from the scene. Hold on, Chu Kuangren suddenly said. Fifth by forefather was startled. He turned around mechanically and asked nervously, Is there anything else, sect leader Chu? Bring his corpse away too. You can't just come to someone else's house and leave their trash everywhere, can you? Chu Kuangren said as he pointed at Bai Feng's corpse. Hearing his words, the Shang clan disciples' mouths twitched. Bai Feng could be considered a reputable sky pride in Nimbus City, but in Chu Kuangren's mouth, he was just trash that was not even worth mentioning. It's my fault. I'll bring him away now. Fifth by forefather heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that Chu Kuangren would go back on his word and kill him. After the Bai family members left, the Shang Long couple walked up to Chu Kuangren and thanked him for saving them. It's all right. By the way, sect leader Chu mentioned that you have an appointment with my ancestor. If I may ask, may I know where he is now? Lu Yan asked curiously. You won't be able to go even if you know, so there's no need to ask. All right then. Lu Yan had no choice but to let it go. By the way, Shang Long clan leader, I have a question for you. Please speak, sect leader Chu. Are you willing to take control of the Shang clan? The crowd was in an uproar when they heard that. They naturally knew that the Shang clan that Chu Kuangren mentioned was not as simple as taking control of a branch clan, but the entire Shang clan. The Shang clan elder's expression changed, but he did not say anything. Me take control of the Shang clan? Shang Long was dumbfounded by Chu Kuangren's question. He stood rooted to the ground and did not know how to answer. When the others saw that, they could not wait to kick Shang Long out of the way and take his place. They all swore to Chu Kuangren. Taking control of the Shang clan was a great authority and status for every member of the Shang clan. Can I take control of the Shang clan? Shang Long was a little hesitant. If I say you can, then you can, Chu Kuangren said calmly. Even the Shang clan sage and clan leader had been killed by him. However, the Shang clan still had a strong foundation, so he needed someone to help him take control of the Shang clan. Shang Long, who was also a member of the Shang clan, was the most suitable candidate. Firstly, his wife and daughter were the descendants of the white-robed general, and Chu Kuangren had promised the white-robed general that he would take care of them. Secondly, Shang Long was from a side branch of the Shang clan. He was not a direct descendant, so he did not have deep feelings for the direct descendant. If Chu Kuangren single-handedly took over the Shang clan's clan leader position, it would be easier for him to control the clan. Shang Long pondered for a while before he gritted his teeth and said, "Since sect leader Chu has bestowed upon me this opportunity, then I shall try my best to become the clan leader." No one in the Shang clan would not be tempted to take control of the entire Shang clan, and Shang Long was no exception. Especially after experiencing so many things in the past 2 days, he deeply felt the importance of power and authority. He wanted to become the clan leader and wield the highest authority in the Shang clan, so that he could better protect his family and fulfill his ambitions. Very well. Bring your family and follow me to the Shang clan's direct descendant tomorrow. From today onwards, you shall be the Shang clan's new clan leader, Chu Kuangren said calmly. The direct descendant elder beside him had a dejected look on his face. He knew that the Shang clan would be under Chu Kuangren's control from today onwards. The only thing worth celebrating was that the person in power on the surface was still a member of the Shang clan, so it was still acceptable on the surface. Fifth Bai forefather returned to the Bai clan. When Bai Shuiyin saw that he was the only one who returned, he could not help but feel that something was amiss. He asked Fifth forefather what happened. "Fifth forefather, where's my son?" The Nimbus City Bai clan's head was also puzzled. Upon hearing his question, Fifth Bai forefather flew into a rage. "Do you know that your son almost brought disaster to the Bai clan? I've already killed him with my own hands. He's right behind us." He pointed at the corpse that the Bai clan's guards had carried up. Witnessing this, the Bai family head's face turned deathly pale in an instant, revealing a deep sense of grief and indignation. "What the hell is going on? My son, how did my son cause such a disaster?" Fifth Bai forefather, what the hell is going on? Fifth Bai forefather recounted everything that had happened. Upon hearing that, Bai Shuiyin could not help but reveal a deep sense of fear in his eyes. "Chu Kuangren, how did that Shang Qingxue get involved with Chu Kuangren?" The Bai clan's head, who had just lost his beloved son, said angrily, "Even if he did offend Chu Kuangren, my son does not deserve to die. Why?" Before he could finish, Bai Shuiyin sent him flying with a palm strike. With a grim expression, Bai Shuiyin said, "Not deserve to die? Do you know what happens to those who offend Chu Kuangren? Do you wish for the Bai clan to be doomed eternally?" The Bai clan's head, who was sent flying, spat out a mouthful of blood. He could not believe that Chu Kuangren had made the Bai clan so afraid of him. What kind of terrifying existence was he? Chapter 267. Fifth forefather, do you think I should do something to make up for it? Chu Kuangren may have let you go, but there's no guarantee that he won't hold a grudge against you, Bai Shuiyin said with a frown. The higher they stood, the more they understood how terrifying Chu Kuangren was. His style of doing things, his extraordinary combat strength, and his terrifying background were things that even sage orthodoxies would not dare to provoke. They were afraid that this lunatic would suddenly come knocking on their door. Bai Shuiyin could not help but shudder at the thought of having designs on the people around this lunatic. He might not even be able to sleep well. Indeed. Fifth Bai forefather pondered. "I'll go and prepare now." The next day, Bai Shuiyin prepared a bunch of rare treasures and brought the fifth Bai forefather to apologize to Chu Kuangren. However, he did not expect Chu Kuangren and the others to have already left. Congratulations, host, you've drawn a legendary item, the Marrow Cleansing Pool. Marrow Cleansing Pool? Chu Kuangren opened his inventory and read the item's description carefully. His eyes lit up. The Marrow Cleansing Pool, as its name suggested, was a pond that could cleanse one's marrow and improve one's bone structure. After all, a cultivator's bone structure was already determined the moment they were born. A Taoist physique would be a Taoist physique, and a mortal physique would be a mortal physique. Without any special encounters, a cultivator's bone structure would not change much until death. Items that could improve a cultivator's bone structure were too rare. Only supreme elixirs could do it. However, this marrow cleansing pool could improve one's bone structure just by soaking in it. If news of this got out, it would cause a sensation. Of course, although the marrow cleansing pool's effects were terrifying, it was not without its limitations. For example, the better the bone structure, the smaller the effects. It was impossible for an ordinary Taoist physique to become a supreme Taoist physique just by soaking in it. However, this could not hide the horror of the marrow cleansing pool. Being able to improve a cultivator's bone structure by a little bit was equivalent to giving a cultivator hope to reach higher realms. With this item, wouldn't everyone in the Black Heaven sect be like dragons in the future? Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. Although it was impossible for everyone to have a Taoist physique, at least it could improve every disciple's bone structure. Chu Kuangren was very satisfied with this prize. He only needed to wait until he returned to the Black Heaven sect to find a place to store the marrow cleansing pool. Young master, we're almost at the Shang clan, Lan Yu said beside Chu Kuangren. Okay. The elusive mirage arrived at the Shang clan's airspace. Everyone disembarked from the elusive mirage, and the Shang clan's elders, who had long received the news, had already gathered together in the great hall of the Shang clan. From today onwards, Shang Long shall be the new Shang clan leader. Does anyone have any objections? Chu Kuangren asked. The elders looked at each other in dismay. How would they dare to object? We have no objections. An elder said. Very good. With Chu Kuangren's support, the process of Shang Long taking over the Shang clan was exceptionally smooth. There were no intense quarrels, nor were there any voices of opposition. In just a few days, Shang Long had become the Shang clan leader. Before leaving, Chu Kuangren handed the Lu clan's ancient sword and a wooden puppet to Lu Yun and reminded her. This sword contains 3 surges of my sword chi, and this wooden puppet contains one of my sword chi clones. Keep these 2 with you. If you encounter any danger, you can use them. Everyone looked at the items on Lu Yun with envy. After all, the items that Chu Kuangren had given Lu Yun made it so that no one in the Shang clan dared to touch her. Anyone below the level of a sage, even an honorable supreme, would definitely die in the face of a single sword chi from Chu Kuangren. Thank you, sect leader Chu. Lu Yun accepted the items with some trepidation. Beside her, Shang Long said, Sect leader Chu, thanks to you, Qingxue has now awakened the deep freeze physique. I plan to send her to the Black Heaven sect to cultivate. I wonder if sect leader Chu is willing to accept her? Chu Kuangren took a good look at Shang Long. He knew that Shang Long's action was to express his stance. Shang Long was the clan leader that Chu Kuangren had single-handedly raised. Hence, he understood that the most important thing was to curry favor with Chu Kuangren. Sending a top-notch Taoist physique like Shang Qingxue to the Black Heaven sect was no different from a country sending a hostage to another country. It was to reassure Chu Kuangren. After all, Shang Long's daughter was in the Black Heaven sect, so he would never betray Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren glanced at Shang Qingxue, only to see her calm expression. She did not have the slightest bit of disappointment or helplessness that a hostage should have. It was obvious that she already knew about this matter. It was even possible that this was the result of her discussion with Shang Long. If you wish to join the Black Heaven sect, you can. The Black Heaven sect has its own assessment system. Once you pass, you can join the Black Heaven sect. However, I won't be returning to the Black Heaven sect in the near future. If you really want to join, you can go and take the assessment yourself, Chu Kuangren said. He did not care about the thoughts of his subordinates. After all, in the face of absolute strength, they could not escape his control. I will definitely pass the assessment and join the Black Heaven sect. Shang Qingxue nodded slightly with a determined look in her eyes. Alright, goodbye. After leaving the Shang clan, Chu Kuangren continued to wander outside. Just as he said, he would not be returning to the Black Heaven sect in the near future. After staying in the sect for a year, it was not easy for him to get out. If he were to return after just a few days, how boring would that be? However, he did not return to the Black Heaven sect. Instead, he returned to the Royal Azure Dynasty to refine a few rejuvenation pills and spring slumber pills for the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler to ensure his ascension. Soon, the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler began his ascension. Compared to Honorable Xianqi's ascension, the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's ascension was much bigger. The Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's million-strong army surrounded the ascension site 3 times inside and 3 times outside, ensuring that no one would disturb him. In the dark, there were also countless experts observing and guarding. Don't let your guard down during the ascension. Everyone stay alert. Of course. Especially watch out for those from the Nine-Head clan. If anyone from the Nine-Head clan dares to disturb the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's ascension, we'll kill as many of them as they come. Don't let your guard down. The Nine-Head clan was a clan that bordered the Royal Azure Dynasty. As the Nine-Head clan lived in the barren land of the Dao state, cultivation resources were scarce. Therefore, the Nine-Head clan would often invade the Royal Azure Dynasty's territory to steal resources. Now that the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler was undergoing ascension, it was not impossible for the Nine-Head clan to come and cause trouble. Forget about the Nine-Head clan. With him around, even the sages of this world would not dare to act recklessly. At that moment, a cultivator muttered in the dark. When the crowd heard this, they too turned to look at the top of a tall building in the palace. Their eyes were filled with uncontrollable passion. At the top of a tall building in the palace, a young man in a white robe stood facing the wind. An exquisite longsword was hanging from his waist. A man and a sword stood motionless as if they were one with heaven and earth. This man was a man of unparalleled talent. The sword was a sword of unparalleled talent. This man and sword stood on top of the city walls. Behind him was the rumbling sound of the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's ascension, and the majestic aura of the heavens. In front of him, the street was so quiet that no one dared to move. Chapter 268. Chu Kuangren is in the palace. Cancel the plan. Tell everyone to retreat. D*A minute. Chu Kuangren is in the palace. Our plan to assassinate the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler has failed. Everyone retreat now. With Chu Kuangren around, we won't succeed. On top of a tall building in the royal palace, Chu Kuangren smirked as he looked at the quiet streets that were so quiet that even the chirping of birds could be heard. These people are quite sensible. The number of people who had come to stop the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler from transcending the heavenly tribulation this time was no less than the number of people who came with Honorable Xianqi. However, when Chu Kuangren stood there, no one dared to move. The Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's tribulation this time around could be said to be exceptionally easy. Boom. In the distance, auspicious clouds gathered and a powerful Taoist rhyme filled the air. Although it had not reached the level of a saint, it was very close. The Royal Azure Dynasty king had successfully ascended to the quasi-sage realm. Long live the monarch! Long live the monarch! Sensing this abnormal sign, the million soldiers guarding outside became extremely excited. They shouted loudly, and sound waves surged into the sky. Chu Kuangren tapped his ears. That was a really loud scream. However, he was happy that the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler had successfully passed the Ascension Tribulation. The Royal Azure Dynasty king had successfully ascended to the Heavenly Tribulation. On the second day, the Royal Azure Dynasty king rewarded the 3 armies and hosted a banquet for all the generals. Naturally, Chu Kuangren was invited as well. In the main hall of the palace, the banquet was in progress. Toasts were exchanged, and it was very lively. The Royal Azure Dynasty king's face was flushed with happiness. Come, this cup of wine is a toast to all of you. Thank you, monarch. Everyone drained their cups in one go. This second cup of wine is for my dear son-in-law. If it weren't for the lightning soother rod and the pills you prepared for me, I'm afraid my tribulation wouldn't have gone so smoothly. Come, let me toast you. Father is too polite. When the banquet ended, the royal Azure Dynasty king asked Chu Kuangren to stay behind alone. Kuangren, I am now a quasi-sage. After a period of time, I will be like your master and live in seclusion behind the scenes. What about the royal Azure Dynasty? This is also what I wanted to talk to you about. What do you think about letting Linglong take over the royal Azure Dynasty? The royal Azure Dynasty king stared at Chu Kuangren with a piercing gaze. Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren was rather surprised. He did not expect the royal Azure Dynasty king to make such a decision. In the history of the royal Azure Dynasty, there is no precedent for a woman to be in power. However, it is still a rare occurrence. Does your majesty really intend to do so? As long as they have the ability, it doesn't matter if they're male or female. Monarch, do you have my reasons for doing this? That is only part of it. However, the most important thing is that I feel that Linglong is more suitable to inherit my position. Although the royal Azure Dynasty king had considered Chu Kuangren's relationship with her, the real reason why he was so determined was because of Princess Linglong's talents. Over the past few years, Princess Linglong had displayed a temperament, and means that none of the princes could match up to. Even Gu Chang'e couldn't compare with him. I see. Chu Kuangren pondered. Does Linglong know about this? I haven't told her yet, but she should agree. She is an ambitious and resourceful woman. You should know that. Of course. Chu Kuangren smiled. He had known Princess Linglong for a few years now. Although they did not spend a lot of time together, he still had some understanding of her. She was a career-driven woman with both ability and ambition. There was a high chance that she would not reject the idea of becoming an empress. I plan to keep her by my side for a period of time, and slowly hand over the affairs of the imperial court to her. Once she ascends to the throne, I will resign from the throne, live in seclusion, and start building up my foundation to become a sage. All right, I understand. Don't you have any objections? The royal Azure Dynasty king asked curiously. What objections can I have? There's no harm for me to have her as an empress. Besides, if it's her wish, I will support her till the end. Chu Kuangren smiled. He knew that the royal Azure Dynasty king was worried that he would be too afraid of the woman's dominance, which would make him unhappy. However, he did not have such thoughts at all. A strong woman and a weak man? That did not exist in his eyes. No matter how powerful Princess Linglong would be after she became an empress, Chu Kuangren would let her know that her man would always be her man. After staying in the royal Azure Dynasty for a few days, Chu Kuangren left. Before he traveled around, he went to the ancient battlefield. After Chu Kuangren's massacre, the number of tormented souls in the ancient battlefield had greatly decreased, and they had yet to recover. Hence, the number of adventurers in the ancient battlefield had increased. Of course, no matter how many there were, the ancient battlefield's core area was still a forbidden area that no one dared to touch. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren was standing at the edge of the core area. He took out the jade pendant that the white-robed general gave him. This was the method that he and the white-robed general had agreed on. If he wanted to find her, all he had to do was come to the ancient battlefield and take out the jade pendant. The white-robed general would be able to find him by following the aura on it. Not long after, a white figure appeared at the edge of Chu Kuangren's vision. That person was wearing a white robe and wielding a long spear. His face was covered by a mask. It was the white-robed general from the ancient battlefield. Why are you looking for me? The white-robed general said. Take a look at this first. Chu Kuangren took out another jade pendant, which looked exactly like the one that the white-robed general gave him. He had gotten it from Lu Yun. Just like the Lu clan's ancient sword, it was a family heirloom. It could very well belong to the Lu kingdom's princess as well. The white-robed general's body trembled the moment he saw the jade pendant. He could no longer remain calm as he rushed forward to take the jade pendant and examine it. I can't be wrong. This is the jade pendant that belonged to Ayu. The Ayu that he mentioned was the former Lu kingdom's princess. You found our descendants. The white-robed general was in disbelief. It had only been a few days. He was already prepared for Chu Kuangren to search for them for hundreds or thousands of years, but he did not expect Chu Kuangren to bring Ayu's jade pendant to him in just a few days. Isn't this efficiency a little too ridiculous? Not bad. Chu Kuangren nodded. How are they doing? The white-robed general asked. A sage ruler like him was a little nervous at that moment, afraid that he would hear some bad news. Don't worry, they're doing well. Mother and daughter? Yes. Chu Kuangren then told him about Lu Yun and Shang Qingxue. The white-robed general heaved a sigh of relief. He looked in the direction of the Shang clan and said to Chu Kuangren solemnly, "Thank you so much." "It's all right. I'm glad I can help you." The white-robed general did not say much. He took out an innate ferocious qi and handed it to Chu Kuangren. "This is the innate ferocious qi I obtained from a tormented soul. Take it first. Then I'll take it." Chu Kuangren smiled. He took the innate ferocious qi and absorbed it. The infallible tormented physique was one step closer to completion. Shang Qingxue is joining the Black Heaven sect, am I right? Yes. If everything goes according to plan, she should have passed the assessment by now and officially joined the Black Heaven sect. 2 days ago, he had sent a message to Elder Ruyan, asking her to keep an eye on Shang Qingxue. After all, she had a sage ruler ancestor like the white-robed general with her, so he had to give her special treatment. "I'll leave Qingxue in your care then." "No problem. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave now." The white-robed general hung the jade pendant that Chu Kuangren brought over on his neck and returned to the core area. "Let's go too." Chu Kuangren left with Lan Yu. Suddenly, he received a message from Elder Ruyan. He was shocked when he read the message. The Sky Pride Championship? Chapter 269. The Sky Pride Championship? Chu Kuangren was shocked when he received the message from Elder Ruyan. Beside him, Lan Yu was also curious. What kind of competition is this? Yeah, it's basically a tournament where the Sky Prides from the 4 domains of Firmament Star will gather together to compete in an arena. This championship is jointly organized by the sage orthodoxies of the 4 domains. I see. Are we going to participate in it? Lan Yu asked curiously. Elder Ruyan asked me too. If we want to participate, we'll have to hand in a prize to reward the Sky Prides who perform well in the championship. Chu Kuangren said. Doesn't that mean we'll get to keep all the prizes? With your strength, you can easily defeat everyone. Lan Yu's eyes lit up. The problem is that only disciples of the sage orthodoxies are allowed to participate in this championship. Elders and above are not allowed to participate. Chu Kuangren smiled helplessly. In other words, as the Black Heaven sect leader, he could not participate in this championship. It made sense when he thought about it. With his strength, there was no need for him to participate in this so-called championship. If he did, would he not be causing trouble for the other orthodoxies? With him standing on the arena, who would dare to challenge him? Let's go back to the Black Heaven sect. I wanted to have some fun for a while, but it seems like I'll be busy again. Chu Kuangren laughed. Master, are you planning to participate in this championship? Of course. Chu Kuangren grinned. Nangong Huang and the others have been cultivating in the sect for a year. It's time for them to shine. After all, they were Taoists and Sky Prides of the Black Heaven sect. He could not let them have too much free time. Both of them soon returned to the Black Heaven sect. When Elder Ruyan and the others received the message, they were already prepared to welcome them. They looked at Chu Kuangren helplessly. Sect leader, you've caused quite a commotion when you went out this time. Elder Ruyan said. Chu Kuangren said innocently, I didn't cause any trouble. Lan Yu and I have always been well-behaved. The corners of their mouths twitched for a moment. Well-behaved? So well-behaved that he almost turned the ancient battlefield upside down? So well-behaved that he went to the Scarlet Phoenix domain to kill the Shang clan's sage? Like hell will believe you. Elder Ruyan and the others could not help but grumble in their hearts. Oh right, sect leader, that Shang Qingxue that you mentioned last time has already joined the Black Heaven sect. However, due to her unique identity, I've made her start as a true disciple. Elder Ruyan said. Initially, with Shang Qingshue's top-notch Taoist physique, it would not have been a problem for her to be directly promoted to a Taoist. However, she was still a member of the Shang clan and had just joined the Black Heaven sect, so it would not be appropriate to promote her to a Taoist directly. Okay, I got it. Chu Kuangren nodded. What did you say about the championship? Sect leader, please take a look. These are the rules and procedures of the competition. Elder Ruyan took out a document. Chu Kuangren took a look at it and saw that one of the rules stated that no elders or sect leaders were allowed to participate in the competition. The words sect master were even specially marked in red. It was as if it was telling Chu Kuangren, "Stop looking, I'm talking about you. You are not allowed to participate in the competition." Chu Kuangren closed the document and muttered, "Forget it if you don't want me to participate. Do you really think I care that much?" Most of the Sky Prides in the world would not be able to withstand even half a move from him anyway, so there was no reason for him to participate in the competition. However, it was not a bad idea to let the disciples of the sect train. Elder Ruyan, please reply to the organizer and tell them that we will participate in the championship. You can decide on the prizes. All right. Elder Ruyan nodded. Also, there are still 3 months before the start of the competition. Call Nangong Huang, Morong Xian, and the other Taoists over here. We'll meet up at the Longevity Hall tomorrow. I'm going to give them a special devilish training. By the way, call Shang Qingxue over too. She has just awakened her deep freeze physique, so let her participate in the special training as well. Special devilish training? Elder Ruyan blinked. How devilish was that? Yes. Chu Kuangren grinned. He looked so good when he smiled. It was as if everything in the world paled in comparison to him. However, Elder Ruyan could not help but shiver. She silently prayed for Nangong Huang and the others. After chatting with Elder Ruyan and the others for a while, Chu Kuangren returned to the Towering Heaven Palace. As soon as he entered, he saw a red shadow flying towards him. It was a red bird the size of a palm. Brother, you're Lil Red. Chu Kuangren looked at the little bird in front of him curiously and asked in surprise, "How did you become so small?" Lil Red flapped its wings and stood on Chu Kuangren's shoulder. It said, "I've had a breakthrough in my cultivation. I'm now an honorable supreme, so I can freely change my size." I see. Chu Kuangren finally understood. Lil Red was the divine beast, the immortal godly phoenix. It had a noble bloodline, but the nobler the bloodline, the harder it was to transform. The godly phoenix had to at least reach the sage realm to be able to transform. "I can always follow you from now on, brother," Lil Red said happily. In the past, Chu Kuangren felt that bringing a godly phoenix around was too eye-catching, so he usually did not bring it with him when he went out. Now that she could freely change her size, she was about the size of a small sparrow. Once she hid her aura, ordinary cultivators would not be able to tell that she was a divine beast. Alright then. I'll bring you along when I go out next time. Chu Kuangren smiled gently. Lil Bing also came out to welcome Chu Kuangren. While they were chatting, Lil Bing heard Chu Kuangren mention the championship and could not help but look forward to it. The championship, huh? When all the Sky Prides gather, it must be very lively. Chu Kuangren's heart skipped a beat. Lil Bing had been by his side for a few years now, and had never left the Black Heaven sect. She rarely even stepped out of the Towering Heaven Palace. Even when he was not around, she had been guarding the Taoist palace for him. Chu Kuangren was a little touched at that thought, so he smiled and said, "The championship this time will be very lively. Lil Bing, why don't you go and watch as well?" "But what about the Taoist palace?" Lil Bing was a little hesitant. "Don't worry. This Taoist palace has no legs, so it can't run away. If you come with me, you might have a chance to fight." "A fight? Those are the top Sky Prides of all the great sage orthodoxies. Even I can fight?" "Of course, don't underestimate yourself. Your strength is not any weaker than those so-called Sky Prides. Also, how's the refining of the golden sword talisman that I gave you before? I didn't dare to delay, so I'm almost done refining it." Lil Bing opened her palm, and a mysterious rune appeared. The rune was surrounded by strands of golden sword chi. A terrifying surge of sage Taoist rhyme emanated from it. It was a sage-grade rune. Chu Kuangren had obtained it from the gacha roll. Although it was a sage-grade rune, his sword Dao level was very high at that time, so the sage-grade sword talisman was not very useful to him. Hence, he gave it to Lil Bing for her to refine. With the sage-grade rune, Lil Bing's combat strength naturally increased. Although she could not fully unleash the power of the sage-grade rune, she could still fight some honorables with just this Taoist rune alone. However, her own cultivation level was not even at the Battle Monarch realm, which showed how mysterious the rune was. Chapter 270. The next day, outside the longevity hall of the Black Heaven sect, Nangong Huang, Morong Xian, Junyi Qin Wushuang, and the rest of the Taoists gathered together, waiting for Chu Kuangren's arrival. The only exception was Shang Qingxue, who had just joined the Black Heaven sect not too long ago. However, no one doubted her. After all, the aptitude of the deep freeze physique was there for all to see. She was qualified to stand with them. Shang Qingxue stood at the side, secretly observing Nangong Huang, Morong Xian and the others. After all, they were the most outstanding disciples in the Black Heaven sect. Time passed. Half an hour later, Chu Kuangren arrived late with Lan Yu. Nangong Huang and the others did not blame him and greeted him with a fist salute. Greetings, sect leader. I'm sure you all know why I called you here today. It's about the Sky Pride Championship. To be honest, I personally have no interest in this championship. But I think this is a good opportunity for you all to go out and see the world. That's why I've prepared a special training session for you all, lest you embarrass the Black Heaven sect in the championship. Chu Kuangren's words did not change the others' expressions. They already knew about the hegemony tournament. At that moment, Shang Qingxue raised her hand and asked, "Sect leader, do I need to participate in the Sky Pride Championship as well?" It was not that she was afraid, but she had just awakened her deep freeze physique, and her cultivation level was only at the Golden Core realm. She was not even comparable to Lil Bing. She would only be a bystander if she were to participate in the Sky Pride Championship. Not necessarily. It's just that you've just awakened your deep freeze physique, so you can use this special training session to polish it. As for participating in the championship, that will depend on the situation. Chu Kuangren said. Oh, I see. If there's nothing else, follow me now. Chu Kuangren turned around and left with the others. The Black Heaven sect's territory was vast and there were many mountains. Chu Kuangren brought them to a secluded mountain range. Sect leader, why did you bring us here? Nangong Huang asked curiously. As soon as he finished speaking, an incomparably terrifying aura was released from Chu Kuangren's body and landed on them. Under this pressure, they felt as if tens of thousands of mountains had suddenly appeared on their bodies, and it was difficult for them to even move a finger. Shang Qingxue, who had the weakest cultivation, was instantly pressed to the ground by the pressure. Her face was facing the ground, and her breasts were almost crushed. F***ck me. What was the sect leader doing? The other Taoists also looked like they were struggling to hold on. This is the Battle King's domain. That's the sect leader's Battle King domain. How terrifying. Why do I feel that this pressure is even more terrifying than the gravity trial field? Nangong Huang and the others used their spiritual power to resist. However, the more they resisted, the more terrifying the Battle Monarch domain that Chu Kuangren unleashed became. Gradually, Shang Qingxue, who was the weakest among them, almost fainted. Chu Kuangren lifted his arm and transformed his spiritual power into a giant invisible hand that grabbed Shang Qingxue and tossed her to the side. Lan Yu was quick to react and quickly caught it. She smiled helplessly. Sir, you really don't know how to take care of the fairer sex. As the pressure from the Battle Monarch domain increased, Junyi Qin Wushuang and the other Taoists could not hold on any longer. They lay on the ground in exhaustion, but Chu Kuangren still had no intention of stopping. It was only when a few of them were about to faint like Shang Qingxue did he finally toss them to the side within the Battle Monarch domain. Only Morong Xian and Nangong Huang were left inside the domain, struggling to hold on. However, they could not hold on for long before they collapsed to the ground. Chu Kuangren retracted his domain. 15 minutes. The strongest among you can only hold on for 15 minutes in my battle monarch domain. How disappointing. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Hearing his words, everyone's faces were filled with shame. They were too weak. They were all famous Taoists in the outside world, especially Nangong Huang, who was one of the most famous young emperors. However, they were still weak in front of Chu Kuangren. Besides, I haven't fully unleashed my battle monarch domain yet. Chu Kuangren uttered another cruel truth, which made them so ashamed that they wanted to find a hole in the ground and hide in it. Forget it, I can't blame you guys. Maybe I had too high of an expectation for you guys, Chu Kuangren said. However, his words did not make them feel better. Instead, it made them even more ashamed. Jun-yi and the other two female Taoists were so ashamed that they were about to cry. It would have been fine if someone else had said that. However, it was Chu Kuangren who said that. In their hearts, Chu Kuangren held a high position. They worshipped him and saw him as their idol. However, when they thought that their idol was disappointed in them, a huge sense of loss engulfed them. Chu Kuangren saw the expressions on everyone's faces. Good, it seems like it's working. Only by striking them harder would they be motivated to work harder. And the effect of this special training would be more obvious. Don't just lie here. Come with me, Chu Kuangren said as he walked deeper into the valley. The exhausted Taoists gritted their teeth and struggled to stand up. They supported each other and staggered behind Chu Kuangren. Their spiritual power had been depleted when they tried to resist Chu Kuangren's battle monarch domain. Even though they were supporting each other, they still felt weak all over. However, they soon felt a strange spiritual power fluctuation mixed with Taoist rhymes coming from not far away. When they looked closer, they saw a pond that was emitting white mist not far away from them. The pond was huge, at least 20 meters in diameter. There was a partition in the middle that separated the pond into two sides. Nangong Huang and the others gulped when they saw the pond. They could feel a mysterious Taoist rhyme in the pond. This pond of water was definitely an incredible treasure. Sect leader, what is this? The marrow cleansing pond. You guys can take a dip in it in your current state. Strip off your clothes. The men go to the right, and the women go to the left, Chu Kuangren said to the crowd. Nangong Huang and the others did not mind, but Jun-yi, Shangqingxue, and the other women felt a little embarrassed. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go down. You guys soak here for 2 hours. I'll come back after 2 hours. Chu Kuangren left after he said that. The remaining people looked at each other. Nangong Huang and the others went to the marrow cleansing pond on the right. There was nothing to be embarrassed about, so they took off their clothes and entered the pond. Jun-yi, Shangqingxue, and the other two Taoists went to the pond on the left. They looked around and slowly took off their clothes. One by one, their beautiful bodies were exposed to the sun. They looked at each other, and one of the female Taoists suddenly raised her head and puffed out her chest. With a proud look on her face, she walked into the marrow cleansing pond first. The other 3 women curled their lips when they saw that. It's just a little bigger. What's there to be proud of? When the crowd entered the marrow cleansing pond, they could not help but gasp in surprise. They could feel a surge of energy from the marrow cleansing pond constantly entering their bodies, cleansing the impurities in their bodies. Their originally fixed bone roots had a slight improvement. Chapter 271. This pond can cleanse one's meridians and improve one's bone structure. Oh my God, where did the sect leader get this thing? No wonder it's called the marrow cleansing pond. This is amazing. The crowd gasped. They had heard of things that could improve one's bone structure before, but it was their first time seeing it, let alone experiencing it themselves. On the left side of the pond, Jun-yi could feel the energy in her body continuously flowing into the marrow cleansing pond due to the depletion of her spiritual power. Under the influence of this energy, her root bone was constantly being improved. My spiritual power is depleted and my body is empty. This way, I can better absorb the energy from the marrow cleansing pond. At this point, Jun-yi's eyes revealed a trace of realization. No wonder the sect master exhausted us. So that's why. Cough cough. A Taoist with half his face submerged in the pond coughed as if he had choked and looked at Junyi strangely. Shang Qingxue and another Taoist seemed to have thought of something as their faces flushed red. Only then did Junyi realize that her words were indeed inappropriate. That's not what I meant. I understand. What do you guys mean? I don't understand. Jin Fian, stop pretending. You're usually the most slutty one. The last time I went to your room, I saw you hugging the sect leader's portrait. You look so horny. Ah, you saw it. I'm going to strangle you. The girls started to play in the water, their laughter crisp and melodious. Meanwhile, on the other side of the pond, Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the other Taoists almost had a nosebleed as they listened to the girls. Although Chu Kuangren had set up a barrier in the marrow cleansing pond to block their spiritual thoughts and prevent them from spying, it did not block out the sound. I can't believe these girls are so bold to defile the sect leader behind his back. Why didn't they come at me instead? Taoist Zhuohan scoffed. Dream on. The crowd looked at him in disdain. Say, if this marrow cleansing pond can cleanse one's meridians just by soaking in it, what do you think will happen if I take a sip? Suddenly Qin Wushuang said. Do you want to drink the bath water? Murong Xian asked curiously. Qin Wushuang was silent for a while. Pretend I didn't say anything. Gulp. At this moment, the sound of swallowing could be heard from the side. They looked at Zhuohan in disbelief. Damn, you really drank it. You're amazing. I just need to verify it. Besides, this is a treasure that can cleanse one's meridians and marrow. What's wrong with me taking a sip? Zhuohan pursed his lips. How do you feel? Qin Wushuang asked expectantly. It's sweet. The energy of the marrow cleansing pool is surging more clearly in my body, as if something is about to come out. Asterisk gulp. Asterisk a few bubbles appeared behind Zhuohan. Everyone looked at him in astonishment. Nangong Huang said with a sullen face, Don't tell me you just farted. Zhuohan looked embarrassed. I couldn't help it. Holy shit. I will kill you. I can't soak in this marrow cleansing pool anymore. Nangong Huang and the rest were about to climb onto the table when Zhuohan said weakly, Sect leader said that we have to soak for 2 hours. Everyone was silent for a moment, then silently retreated. 2 hours slowly passed. Everyone noticed that the originally clear water had gradually become murky. It was the impurities that were expelled from their bodies. 2 hours later, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu returned to the marrow cleansing pool. Everyone was already dressed. After soaking in the marrow cleansing pool for 2 hours, their physique had improved, and they were in high spirits. Chu Kuangren looked at the marrow cleansing pool, and noticed that the water was a little murky, but he did not care. After a while, the marrow cleansing pool would automatically expel the impurities, which was very convenient. Very well, let's continue with the special training, Chu Kuangren said as he brought everyone to a valley. He found a large blue stone and sat down. Then he snapped his fingers. A sword chi clone appeared, and he said, This sword chi clone has about 1/60th of my strength. I don't care what you do, but I want you to defeat him within a month. Huh? A sword chi clone with 1/60th of his strength? Nangong Huang and the rest looked at each other. After all, they were Taoists of the Black Heaven sect. Asking them to team up against a sword chi clone that only had 1/60th of Chu Kuangren's strength was a little overkill. No matter how much they admired Chu Kuangren, they could not help but feel that they were being underestimated. Sect leader, you're underestimating us too much. Why don't we give it a try? Chu Kuangren chuckled. I'll do it. Nangong Huang stepped forward without even pulling out the Deep Abyss Rainbow Sacred Sword. He raised his hand and launched a punch at the sword chi clone. However, the sword chi clone merely raised its hand and unleashed a sword attack. The sword chi was extremely majestic, instantly tearing apart Nangong Huang's Taoist rhyme. The terrifying energy blasted his opponent's body and sent him flying. Nangong Huang flew out and spat out a mouthful of blood. Several of his bones and tendons were broken. Upon seeing that, everyone quickly went up to him. Nangong, are you alright? Sect leader, that was a little too much. Junyi looked at the sword chi clone, and said with a numb scalp. Even a lion uses its full strength to hunt a rabbit. Nangong, you're underestimating your opponent. I've already said that this sword chi clone has 1/60th of my strength. Yet you didn't even use your sword. Are you overestimating yourself or underestimating me? The sect leader? Chu Kuangren slowly walked up to Nangong Huang and said. Nangong Huang's face was pale and full of shame. I was too arrogant. Please give me another chance, sect leader. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and activated the spring breeze healing technique. A gentle gust of wind blew across Nangong Huang's body and quickly healed his injuries. Not long after, Nangong Huang was full of vigor again. It was more effective than most healing pills. Only then did everyone breathe a sigh of relief. It turned out that the sect leader had a reason to be so heavy-handed. Now, I can tell you clearly that I have the spring breeze healing technique. As long as you're still breathing, I can save you all. Therefore, this clone of mine will not hold back. Chu Kuangren smiled at the crowd. After witnessing Nangong Huang's tragic state, the crowd could not help but shiver when they saw Chu Kuangren smile. Although they would not die, the pain would be excruciating. I'll attack in 10 seconds. Prepare yourselves. 10. Chu Kuangren began the countdown. 9, 8, 7. Chu Kuangren walked back to the large green rock and sat down. 6, 5. Nangong Huang, Morong Xian, and the others took out their weapons with a serious look on their faces. 4, 3. Taoist rhymes circulated around their bodies, ready to erupt at any time. 2, 1. The instant the countdown ended, the sword chi clone disappeared from where it was in the blink of an eye. When it reappeared, it was already before Shang Qingxue. Shang Qingxue was dumbfounded. What a bully! I'm the weakest here, so why did he attack me first? Before she could react, the sword chi doppelganger directly struck out with a sword chi and blasted her away, causing her to lose consciousness. Attack! Nangong Huang, Morong Xian Juni, and the others charged towards the clone with their swords. Chapter 272. In the valley, Nangong Huang, Morong Xian, and the other Taoists were battling the sword chi clone. All sorts of ultimate sword techniques were unleashed from their hands, including some sage techniques. Their power was unparalleled and earth-shattering. However, Chu Kuangren's sword chi clone was too powerful. Its sword chi was extremely pure, and its sword-based Taoist rhyme had overpowered everyone present. No matter how many techniques they used, they could not do anything to it. The sword chi clone raised its hand and unleashed a sword attack at Morong Xian. The sword chi was accompanied by a terrifying sword-based Taoist rhyme. Morong Xian's pupils shrank under the force of that attack. He was no match for it at all, and his entire body was blasted hundreds of feet away. He crashed into the ground, creating a huge crater. He felt as if the bones in his body were about to shatter. He immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. The intense pain made him unable to move. Looking at the seemingly invincible sword chi clone, Morong Xian suddenly had a thought. Lying here was pretty good too. However, at that moment, a gentle breeze brushed past his body. It contained a mysterious Taoist rhyme and life force, and it quickly healed his injuries. Not long after, his injuries were mostly healed. Chu Kuangren smiled at him from afar. Why are you still lying here? Are you trying to slack off? That won't do. Go on, keep going. The corner of Morong Xian's mouth twitched, but he then looked at the sword chi clone with a battle intent in his eyes. He raised his sword and charged forward again. Divine 9 Suns Art, 7 Solar Slash. Taoist rhymes flowed all over his body, and an extremely hot Taoist rhyme surged out, turning into 7 huge fireballs that floated in the air like 7 suns. Then, they all slashed at the sword chi clone. However, the sword chi doppelganger raised its hand, and a purple sword light streaked across the void, shattering the 7 fireballs one by one. The majestic flame chi was wrapped by the sword chi, sweeping in all directions like a solar storm. The surrounding Taoists were all swept away by the storm. F***CKMe, is that even possible? He's using Morong Xian's technique against us. With such a level of swordsmanship, is it really just a clone? This is only 1/60th of the sect leader's strength. Everyone was shocked. They gritted their teeth and charged towards the clone again. This battle lasted for 2 hours. During these 2 hours, every Taoist had been seriously injured at least twice, and the number of times they had been lightly injured was innumerable. After the battle, several people lay on the ground, exhausted of their spiritual power. All right, let's call it a day. Chu Kuangren glanced at the setting sun, snapped his fingers, and the sword qi instantly dissipated. He looked at Nangong Huang and the others and smiled faintly. Let's continue here tomorrow morning. It's fine. I told you to defeat my avatar within a month. Today is only the first day. There are still many opportunities. Looking at the smiling Chu Kuangren, Nangong Huang and the others could not help but wonder if the sect leader in front of them was a demon in disguise. Quickly return that kind and gentle sect leader to us. That's all for now. Goodbye. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu left, and the people lying on the ground looked at each other. All they could see was darkness in front of them, and all they could do was groan in their hearts. This is only the first day. There are still 3 months until the championship. In other words, we have to endure this special training for another 2 months. Oh God, I don't want to live anymore. Zhuohan wailed. No, we can't let the sect leader look down on us. Junie gritted her teeth. Chu Kuangren's disappointed expression today made her determined. We must persevere even if we die. You won't die even if you want to. Once the sect leader uses his spring breeze healing technique, you'll have to get up and continue to suffer, Nangong Huang said. Hey, are you guys going back? Murong Xian asked. No, I don't have any strength left. Me too. I'll get someone to send us some food and some clothes later, Nangong Huang said. Everyone sat on the ground and began to recover their spiritual power. As soon as they activated their techniques, they suddenly realized that something was wrong. Did you guys notice that the recovery speed of our spiritual power has become faster? Nangong Huang said. I feel that too. It's because of the marrow cleansing pool. Murong Xian pondered. It's because the marrow cleansing pool has improved our bone structure. That's why both our techniques and spiritual power recovery speed have become faster and more efficient. Not bad. Everyone nodded and looked at the marrow cleansing pool in the distance with shock in their eyes. They were not stupid, so they naturally knew what the marrow cleansing pool meant to a sect. What was the standard to judge a sect's potential? Talents. And this marrow cleansing pool could produce talents in batches. I'm afraid this is the key to the Black Heaven sect's prosperity. This marrow cleansing pool is too important. The sect leader can't believe he just casually left such an important thing here. Isn't that a little too casual? There must be some kind of restriction. Besides, even a sage would pay close attention to something like this. They won't let anything happen to it. A while later, a few disciples brought some clothes and food over. When he saw the group of Taoists lying on the ground in disarray, looking like they had been squeezed dry, he could not help but be speechless. What kind of special training did the sect leader arrange for them? Was it that terrifying? After Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu left, they did not return to the towering Heaven Palace immediately. Instead, they went to a quiet valley. The Fairfrost Sage lived in this valley. Sect leader, you're here. The Fairfrost Sage's eyes lit up when she saw Chu Kuangren. Yes, I'm here to see how the spirit rice is doing. Not bad. The Fairfrost Sage brought Chu Kuangren to a few acres of rice fields. The spiritual qi in the fields was extremely rich. It was a type of spirit rice that contained spiritual qi. The spiritual qi content of spirit rice was not as high as some supreme elixirs, but its value was far higher than some supreme elixirs. It could even be compared to sage-grade supreme elixirs. Because spirit rice could be grown on a large scale, it had a short maturity period, and was easier for cultivators to absorb compared to supreme elixirs. In the current firmament star, there were not many sage orthodoxies that had spirit rice, and the Thunder Temple was one of them. That was also the reason why their vegetarian food was known as the best in the world. However, the value of the Thunder Temple's spirit rice paled in comparison to the spirit rice that Chu Kuangren had the Fairfrost Sage plant. The Thunder Temple's spirit rice was just ordinary spirit rice, But the spirit rice that Chu Kuangren had was a high-level spirit rice that he had obtained from the gacha roll. It was a legendary grade item. I've already harvested it once. 1 acre yields about 1,000 caddies of rice. I have 20 acres of land here, so I have about 20,000 caddies of spirit rice in reserve. How many times can you harvest it in a year? With the help of the ewood essence, I can harvest it 4 times a year, which is about 80,000 caddies, the Fairfrost sage said. 80,000 caddies is far from enough. Chu Kuangren shook his head. There were more than 100,000 disciples in the Black Heaven sect, so 80,000 caddies of spirit rice was just a drop in the bucket. I can only provide it to some true disciples for now. If I want to use it on a larger scale, I'll have to expand the scale. The scale can be expanded, but my ewood essence can't produce that much spirit rice, the Fairfrost sage said. The ewood essence was the technique that the Fairfrost sage cultivated, and it could be used to speed up the growth of spirit herbs. However, the Fairfrost sage was only one person, so no matter how strong the ewood essence was, it could not produce too much spirit rice. It's all right, we can take it slow. Chapter 273. The next day, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu once again arrived at the valley. Meanwhile, Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others were sleeping soundly on the ground. Still pretending? Chu Kuangren smirked. He was a grown man, yet he did not hide his aura. There was no reason that Nangong Huang and the others could not detect him. If they really couldn't discover it, with their vigilance, who knew how many times they would have died already? Hence there was only one answer. They were all pretending to be asleep, hoping to delay their training for as long as possible. Chu Kuangren looked at them with a hint of playfulness in his eyes. Then a terrifying energy field spread with him as the center. Battle Monarch Domain unleashed. The few people who were pretending to be asleep were shocked. They did not expect Chu Kuangren to unleash such a powerful technique, without even waking them up. Under the effects of the Battle Monarch Domain, they could no longer pretend. They quickly channeled their spiritual power to resist the immense pressure coming from all directions, but they were still in pain. Soon they were lying on the ground, panting. Their spiritual power had been depleted, and it was difficult for them to even think about getting up. Are you still pretending? Sect leader, we were wrong. Nangong Huang and the others quickly admitted their mistakes and gave in. Then they saw Lan Yu behind Chu Kuangren carrying 2 wooden buckets that emitted a tempting aroma. What's this? Nangong Huang was shocked. The aroma coming from the wooden barrel made his spiritual energy depleted body feel an irrepressible and intense hunger. As cultivators, they rarely had such strong physiological needs. It was like a mortal who had not eaten for days. Breakfast, Chu Kuangren said. Behind him, Lan Yu opened the lid of the wooden buckets, revealing the fragrant white rice inside. The strong aroma instantly made Nangong Huang and the others temporarily forget their physical exhaustion as they struggled to surround the buckets. What a strong aroma. Is this spirit rice? But the spiritual qi in it is too strong. This is my first time seeing this kind of spirit rice. The few of them surrounded the wooden buckets and gulped down their saliva. They each took a bowl from the side and quickly scooped a big bowl for themselves before wolfing it down. Delicious, this is too delicious. This is my first time eating such delicious white rice. Oh my god, it's too delicious. Don't fight over it. You've already eaten a big bowl. Damn. How can you guys eat so fast? Very soon, the 2 big buckets of rice were divided among the few of them. Even women like Jun Yi and Shang Qingxue did not care about their image at all as they gobbled down the rice, afraid that it would be snatched away by others if they ate any slower. After eating, the originally dried-up spiritual ruins once again surged with thick and majestic spiritual power, instantly filling everyone's body. This spirit rice is too extraordinary. If I can eat it every day in the future, that would be great. Zhuohan sighed with emotion. The others also had looks of yearning on their faces. This is the spirit rice grown by the Black Heaven sect. It won't be a problem for them to eat it every day, Chu Kuangren said calmly. Hearing this, everyone was overjoyed. Really? Of course. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly and lifted his arm to unleash a sword qi. The sword chi then transformed into a clone that stared at Nangong Huang and the others expressionlessly. Everyone trembled violently when they saw this clone. F***ck, here it comes again. Come, since you're full, let's start training. Chu Kuangren looked at them with a faint smile. To Nangong Huang and the others, it was the beginning of another round of torture. Time passed. Half a month had passed just like that. During this time, Nangong Huang and the others could be said to have been living in hell. Chu Kuangren could always torture them in different ways. Other than using the Battle Monarch domain and the Sword Chi clone to deal with them, he would occasionally let them spar with each other and bring them to climb mountains. However, the mountain they climbed was the Sword Mountain. In the Sword Mountain, the countless swords all obeyed Chu Kuangren's command and released sword intent to suppress them, making them suffer unspeakably. He also ordered them to go all over the mountain to catch a bird, but the bird they caught was a shrunken godly phoenix. That was a divine beast. They went all over the mountain to catch Lil Red, but they were often fooled by Lil Red. Sometimes, they were even burned by the godly phoenix's flames. Most importantly, once they were injured, Chu Kuangren would use his spring breeze healing technique to instantly heal them up. Then, they would repeat the process of being tortured again. Out of the 24 hours in a day, besides the 6 hours used for eating, drinking, and sleeping, the rest of the time was spent on training. However, while Nangong Huang and the others were complaining, the sages in the depths of the Black Heaven sect thought that they did not know how lucky they were. These little brats really know how to enjoy life. They're eating spirit rice, soaking in the marrow cleansing pool, and they even have the little guy's sword chi clone to feed them. Such cultivation conditions can't be better. It's not just the little guy, even the godly phoenix is helping them. They're screaming from the burning, but they don't know that the godly phoenix's flames are the essence of 10,000 flames. This is a great opportunity. With the essence of 10,000 flames training, their resistance to fire Tao will greatly increase. And the Sword Mountain's sword intent. Enduring the daily training of the Sword Mountain's sword intent, their understanding of sword Tao will also improve. How many people in this world have such a cultivation experience? The little guy has really done his best to train these people. Yeah, he's been taking care of them every day, afraid that something might happen to them due to the training. It's really hard on him. In the depths of the Black Heaven sect, the sages were discussing. They had witnessed everything that Chu Kuangren had done, and they were also aware of the improvements that Nangong Huang and the others had made. Other than lamenting that they did not have such a good sect leader like Chu Kuangren when they were younger, they were still very pleased. Congratulations, host. You've drawn the legendary technique, 8 celestial demonic chords. A legendary technique? It was another legendary cultivation technique. Chu Kuangren retrieved the technique, and a large amount of enlightenment instantly surged into his mind. This enlightenment was so majestic that it was even more exaggerated than when he first received the Tathagata rebirth mantra. The 8 celestial demonic chords was a top-notch emperor technique. It was even more mysterious than the few emperor techniques that Chu Kuangren knew, and it might even be close to those ethereal immortal techniques. What a great 8 celestial demonic chords. Chu Kuangren opened his eyes abruptly, and a hint of joy flashed across his eyes. The 8 celestial demonic chords was a musical Tao technique. After receiving the 8 celestial demonic chords, Chu Kuangren instantly turned from a tone-deaf person to a rare musical Tao grandmaster. However, that was not his biggest gain. It was the 8 celestial demonic chords itself. The 8 celestial demonic chords was divided into 8 chapters, and each had a myriad of uses. Looks like I'll have to get my hands on a guqin. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. Since it was a musical Tao technique, it naturally needed to be activated by guqin music. Boom! A loud explosion was heard. It was Taoist Qin Wushuang who was blasted to the ground by the sword Qi clone. Chu Kuangren skillfully cast the spring breeze healing technique, and Qin Wushuang did not say much. He got up, dusted off the dust on his body, wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth, and charged forward again with his sword. It should be about time. Chu Kuangren murmured as he looked at Nangong Huang and the others who were fighting the sword Qi clone. After training for almost a month, Nangong Huang and the others had gone from being unable to withstand more than a few attacks from the sword chi clone to being able to suppress it by joining forces. Their improvement was not small at all. Chapter 274. Nangong Huang roared, and the deep abyss rainbow sacred sword in his hand unleashed a terrifying sword ray. It was like a vast, endless river. The sword ray locked onto the sword chi clone, making it impossible to escape. Meanwhile, Morong Xian Junyi Qin Wushuang and the others also unleashed their ultimate techniques. Several different types of sword daos exploded. Under these attacks, even though the sword chi clone was powerful, it was still blasted into a ball of sword chi and dispersed. We did it! Nangong Huang, Morong Xian, and the others were overjoyed. This is great! After almost a month of fighting, we've finally defeated this sword chi clone. I'm so tired, Shuahan said as he lay on the ground. The others also heaved a sigh of relief. At that moment, Chu Kuangren walked over from afar. Everyone quickly bowed. Greetings, sect leader. You're welcome. Chu Kuangren nodded and said, 29 days. You guys have finally defeated this sword chi clone in 29 days. How should I put this result? I told you guys to defeat the sword chi clone within a month, but you guys really took almost a month to defeat it. Everyone was a little ashamed when they heard him. Forget it, you guys have passed. This stage of training is over, so let's move on to the next stage. Chu Kuangren smiled. Everyone looked at each other when they heard him. There was a next stage? Just when everyone was confused, Chu Kuangren snapped his fingers. Suddenly, 9 sword chi clones appeared. Seeing these sword chi clones, everyone could already guess what was going on. They could not help but gulp. It couldn't be. The next stage will be 1 sword chi clone per person, Chu Kuangren said. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It couldn't be. It really was like that. They had surrounded a sword chi clone for almost a month before they finally defeated it, and now they were going to take 1 each. CKMe. How long would it take for them to continue fighting? Sect leader, you can't play this way. Nangong Huang smiled bitterly. Why, do you have something to say? Chu Kuangren glanced at him. No, not at all. Nangong Huang gulped and quickly shook his head. Even if he had something to say, he had to hold it in. Otherwise, he would be in deep trouble if he offended the sect leader. That's settled then. Chu Kuangren lifted his arm and cast the spring breeze healing technique to heal everyone's injuries. Then he sent them to deal with the clone. The 9 Taoists left one after another. Shang Qingxue stood on the spot, not knowing what to do. She asked, Sect Master, what should I do next? Every Taoist had a sword chi doppelganger, except for her. She couldn't help but feel a little apprehensive. Among these people, she was the weakest, so she was the least effective in dealing with the sword chi doppelgangers. Chu Kuangren would not abandon her just like that. Would he? I have other plans. Come with me. Shang Qingxue followed Chu Kuangren to an empty space. Chu Kuangren gently lifted his hand, and a red light barrier appeared out of thin air, enveloping Shang Qingxue within it. What is this? It's something I've learned recently, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Over the past few days, while training Nangong Huang and the others, he did not slack off in his own cultivation. He summarized and organized the methods he had learned in the past so that they could be better integrated into the 10,000 powers of coalescence Tao form. During this process, he gained many insights and derived some new techniques from the countless methods he had learned. This red light barrier was one of them. I call this light barrier the Scorching Inferno. It will constantly release high temperatures to burn your enemies. Stay inside and use your Frost Taoist physique to resist the high temperatures. That was the training method Chu Kuangren came up with for Shang Qingxue, using high temperatures to stimulate the growth of the deep freeze Taoist physique. Inside the red light barrier, the temperature was rising rapidly. The scorching heat turned the air inside the barrier into heat waves. Even the light rays were slightly distorted, and the flowers and trees on the ground were instantly burned to ashes in a few breaths' time. Shang Qingxue channeled the frost energy within her body to resist the high temperatures. Oh right. The temperature of this scorching inferno will double every 2 hours. After 12 hours, even an honorable would be instantly burned to ashes. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Shang Qingxue could not help but feel her scalp tingle when she heard that. Even honorables will die? Sect leader, I'm just a nascent soul realm cultivator. Although she had improved a lot in the past few days and had broken through from the golden core realm to the nascent soul realm, she was still miles away from being an honorable. Don't worry. The spiritual power that I've left in this scorching inferno can only last for 6 hours. It won't kill you, but 6 hours is still quite a challenge for you. Enjoy it. Chu Kuangren chuckled before he turned around and left. Shang Qingxue looked at Chu Kuangren's back helplessly. 2 hours later, the temperature of the scorching inferno doubled. Shang Qingxue's face was already flushed red from the heat, and she was panting heavily. There was no sweat on her body because it evaporated the moment it came out. For hours later, the ground had begun to crack. Shang Qingxue squeezed out what little spiritual power she had left in her body and channeled her deep freeze physique. For hours later, Shang Qingxue had no more spiritual power left. However, the deep freeze physique was still producing cold waves under the stimulation of the high temperature. However, the process was very slow, like milking a cow. When it was close to 6 hours later, Shang Qingxue was already lying on the ground. The clothes on her body were almost burnt off, and only a few pieces of cloth were left to cover her vital parts. Her back, arms, thighs, and other parts of her body were severely burnt and charred. She lay on the ground, almost at her last gasp. When the 6 hours were over, the scorching inferno disappeared. A gentle spring breeze brushed past Shang Qingxue and quickly healed her body. Shang Qingxue, who was on the verge of fainting, gradually regained consciousness. She looked around and said, I'm still alive. Back in the scorching inferno, she thought she was going to die at any moment. That feeling was too unbearable. Yes, you're still alive. Why? Do you still want to participate in the training? If you quit now, you won't have to suffer anymore. Chu Kuangren's voice rang in her ears. It was like the whisper of the devil, and it made her want to give up. Just leave. If I leave, I won't have to suffer anymore. She had all the time in the world to slowly cultivate. There was no need for her to endure this inhumane training and suffer in pain. Qingxue, you must know that in this world, only when you're strong can you control your own life. Don't be fooled by the fact that you're the Shang clan leader now. All of this was given to me by sect leader Chu. There are still many in the direct line of descent who look down on you. It's only because of sect leader Chu that they don't dare to touch me. Qingxue, you should go to the Black Heaven sect. You have the deep freeze physique, so you might be able to shine there. Once you're strong enough, your father will be able to gain a foothold in the Shang clan, and no one will look down on you. In a trance, Shang Qingxue recalled what her father said to her in front of the Black Heaven sect, and a look of determination gradually appeared in her eyes. I won't quit. I want to become stronger, so strong that no one will look down on my parents, so strong that I can control my own life. I won't quit. Chu Kuangren smirked. That's good. You're ambitious. In that case, I'll add another half an hour to tomorrow's training. Shang Qingxue was speechless. She finally understood that Chu Kuangren only had one rule when he trained them. As long as he could not kill them, he would kill them. A demon. This sect leader must be a demon. Chapter 275. Day after day passed. Under Chu Kuangren's training, the group of Taoists seemed to live like a year. Every day was like an abyss of suffering. But in this process, they also discovered that the speed of their improvement was simply beyond their imagination. In less than 3 months, everyone had at least broken through a small realm, and their combat strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Especially Shang Qingxue. She was only a golden core late-stage cultivator when she first arrived, but now she was a nascent soul late-stage cultivator, which was an entire realm higher. If word of this got out, it would probably scare people to death. On this day, Nangong Huang, Morong Xian, and the others were still fighting with the Sword Chi clone. More than a month ago, they were far from being a match for the Sword Chi clone in a one-on-one fight. but now they were able to fight back and forth. Meanwhile, at another location, Shang Qingxue was still suffering in the scorching purgatory. Waves of cold air surrounded her body, isolating her from the scorching heat. Now, she could endure for 8 hours in the scorching purgatory without suffering any injuries. She had improved a lot. Far away, on a mountain peak, Chu Kuangren observed everyone's training progress. It's a little tough, but the results are good. It was more than just a little tough. These days, Nangong Huang and the others had narrowly escaped death several times. It was only because Chu Kuangren had the spring breeze healing technique that he dared to train like this. If it were any other orthodoxy, they would not have dared to do so. He was afraid that he would accidentally destroy these precious geniuses. Master, this is the guqin that you wanted. At that moment, Lan Yu walked up with a guqin in her hands. Oh, it's done. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up when he saw the guqin. Ever since he drew the 8 celestial demonic chords, he had always wanted a guqin to perform, so he asked Elder Rian to custom make one for him. It took almost a month, but it was finally done. He took the guqin and studied it carefully. Since it took Elder Rian a month to get someone to custom make it, it was naturally extraordinary. The materials and craftsmanship were top-notch. The guqin was the most common 7-stringed guqin. It was pitch black and glowed. Although it was made of wood, it had a metallic texture. With a flick of his finger, a loud clang reverberated. The timbre was loose and powerful, with a lingering charm, without the slightest static. Lan Yu looked at Chu Kuangren in surprise. After following Chu Kuangren for so many years, this was the first time she found out that Chu Kuangren could play the guqin. Lan Yu, do you want to hear me play a song? Yes. Lan Yu nodded. Then I'll play a song for you. Chu Kuangren sat on the mountain peak with the guqin across his knees. His fingers were placed on the strings of the guqin, and his eyes were slightly closed, as if he was trying to comprehend something. Then, a mysterious Taoist rhyme spread out from his body. The moment he opened his eyes, his 10 fingers began to move, one after another. Extremely beautiful musical notes poured out from his 10 fingers and surrounded the world. The sound of the zither was vast and majestic, like the high mountains and flowing water. The moment the sound of the zither rang out, the wind stopped, the clouds stopped, and aside from the vast sound of the zither, there was no other sound in the world. In the Black Heaven sect, second forefather, third forefather, and the others exclaimed in surprise. Zither music? Where did the zither music come from? It's that little guy playing the guqin. He can even play the guqin? Hold on, this zither music. Black Heaven's second forefather, and the others could no longer hold themselves back after listening to the zither music. They immediately rushed out of the cottage and headed towards Chu Kuangren's direction. At the same time, Fairfrost Sage seemed to have sensed something as well, and left the valley. The few sages and honorable supremes of the Black Heaven sect arrived at Chu Kuangren's location, and looked at Chu Kuangren, who was playing the guqin, in shock. That person was dressed in white, and his fingers were strumming the guqin. Boundless music reverberated in the surroundings, but more importantly, they could sense that there were waves of majestic Taoist rhymes constantly surging in the guqin music. The majestic Taoist rhymes amazed even the sages. Listening to the zither music, everyone felt that the scenery around them had become extremely clear, and a sense of vastness reverberated in their hearts. Meanwhile, Nangong Huang, Morong Xian, and the others also heard the zither music from afar. They suddenly stopped in the middle of their training. The sword chi clone did not continue to train either. As Nangong Huang and the others listened to the zither music, their minds seemed to be guided by it as they merged with the heavens and earth, feeling the vastness of the world. The towering mountains, the endless flowing water, the lush forests, the ever-present wind. Even the grass, the trees, the flowers, and the leaves had their own unique charm. Nangong Huang and the others were immersed in the vastness of the world, and the daily training that they had been doing for the past few days surfaced in their minds. The sword chi clone's techniques, the sword mountain's sword intense suppression, and even the godly phoenix's flames all transformed into an inexplicable sense of enlightenment. At this moment, under the guidance of the zither music, they entered a state of epiphany. This little guy can enter the Taoist realm with the zither. This is something that only a musical Taoist grandmaster can do. Moreover, the vastness of this Taoist rhyme is unheard of. I've never heard of any musical Taoist cultivator who can do this. Even those old guys from the Heaven Chord sect might not be able to do something like this. This is just too terrifying. What else does he know? The sages were in disbelief. They had seen too many miraculous things about Chu Kuangren, but Chu Kuangren still managed to surprise them one after another, as if there was no end to it. The song was over. However, the zither music continued to reverberate throughout the world for a long time. After a while, the world became clear again. Master, what's this song called? Lan Yu's mouth was slightly agape as she asked in amazement. She knew how to play the zither too, and she was considered a minor expert in musical Taoism. However, compared to Chu Kuangren, it was like comparing a stream to a vast ocean. Such musical Taoist mastery could be said to be at the pinnacle of the world. The 8 celestial demonic chords. Vastness of heavens and earth. Chu Kuangren chuckled. The 8 celestial demonic chords had a total of 8 songs, and each song was the pinnacle of musical Taoism. The vastness of heavens and earth was the first song of the 8 celestial demonic chords. Vastness of heavens and earth. Vastness of heavens and earth. What a majestic song. Lan Yu murmured twice, then praised him sincerely. Do you still want to listen to it? I can continue. Ha. Chu Kuangren wanted to continue playing, but he let out a soft gasp and looked at Nangong Huang and the others not far away. He could not help but smile. These guys are in an epiphany. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. After thinking about it, he knew that it was because of the boundless world. Although he did not use any spiritual power in that song, the Taoist rhyme contained within it was enough to benefit Nangong Huang and the others. Heavenly Radiance Sword Art. Murong Xian opened his eyes, and a majestic Taoist rhyme instantly erupted as he performed one of the 12 sage techniques that Chu Kuangren had created for the Black Heaven sect. The Heavenly Radiance Sword Art's sword chi was as majestic as the heavens. With a single slash, the sword chi clone was broken. At another location, Nangong Huang's eyes were filled with Yin-Yang Taoist rhymes. A ray of Yin-Yang divine light merged into the sacred sword in his hand, and he too unleashed a slash that contained the Yin-Yang fusion and endless Taoist rhymes. As the sword chi slashed, the sword chi clone was broken. Jun Yi, Qin Wushuang, and the others had also defeated their sword chi clones. Meanwhile, in the scorching purgatory, Shang Qingxue slowly stood up. She had pushed her deep freeze physique to its limit, and waves of cold currents crashed against the light barrier. Cracks quickly appeared on the light barrier before it shattered into countless light spots. The cold currents swept out and froze everything within a few hundred feet radius. Shang Qingxue had broken through the scorching purgatory with her own strength for the first time. Chapter 276. Did this song make these Taoists gain enlightenment? The sages of the Black Heaven sect were shocked. They did not expect Chu Kuangren's Guqin music to have such an effect. However, when they thought about the Taoist rhymes contained in the Guqin music, they felt that it was only natural. That kind of Guqin music was rarely heard in this world. It was truly the sound of nature. Under Chu Kuangren's training, these people had accumulated a lot of insights. Now that they had entered a state of enlightenment under the guidance of the Guqin music, it was not impossible for their strength to improve tremendously. Lan Yu, I'll let you play this Guqin in the future. Chu Kuangren smiled and kept the Guqin. Then he seemed to have thought of something and said to Lan Yu, by the way, do you think I should give this Guqin a name? Lingering Beam. This Guqin is called Lingering Beam. Lan Yu quickly said. Elder Ruyan gave it to me. She recalled the time when Elder Ruyan handed the Guqin to her, and solemnly told her not to let Chu Kuangren name the Guqin. She really did not dare to compliment his naming skills. Is it named after the lingering sound that lasts for 3 days? That's a good name. Too bad I wanted to name it Thunderclap. Chu Kuangren said regretfully. Thunderclap? Was it loud? Lan Yu could not help but curse in her heart. After Nangong Huang and the others defeated the Sword Chi clones, they gathered together to discuss the Guqin music. Do you guys know where that Guqin music came from? It's so mysterious that I entered a state of enlightenment after listening to it. Yet it's amazing. I've never heard of such a boundless Taoist rhyme before. The person who played this Guqin music must be an incredible musical Taoist grandmaster. But why would a grandmaster appear here? And he even helped us gain enlightenment. The sect leader should know. Let's ask him later. As Nangong Huang said that, he suddenly saw Chu Kuangren and Morong Xian walking towards them. The few of them quickly went up to greet them. Sect leader, you're here. Do you know what that Guqin music was? Morong Xian went straight to the point. Of course. I wonder which musical Taoist grandmaster played it. Can you let us meet him? We want to thank him in person. Nangong Huang said. It's so far away, yet so close, Chu Kuangren said. Hearing this, the crowd looked at Lan Yu in shock. Lan Yu, was it you? Chu Kuangren was confused. Why would all of you think of Lan Yu? Wasn't the first thing you thought of was that I was the one who flicked it? I've heard from Lil Bing that Miss Lan plays the zither very well, but I've never had the chance to hear it. Now that I've seen it, it's really extraordinary. Morong Xian praised. Juni, on the other hand, looked hesitant. I've listened to Lan Yu's Guqin before. It is beautiful, but I don't think it's that good. It wasn't me, it was young master. Lan Yu pointed at Chu Kuangren. Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. Sect leader knows how to play the Guqin? Why, are you surprised? Chu Kuangren asked. That's not it, sect leader. I've never heard you say that you can play the Guqin before. Nangong Huang said in surprise. I know a lot. Do I have to tell you everything? Chu Kuangren rolled his eyes. There's no need for that. Nangong Huang scratched his head. When Chu Kuangren said that he was the one who played the Guqin, no one doubted it. After all, Chu Kuangren had shown them many miraculous things, so it was not that hard to understand why he was a musical Dao grandmaster. By the way, sect leader, now that we've defeated your Sword Chi clone, do you have any other training? Nangong Huang asked. No, there's less than 7 days left until the championship. What other training is there? We'll depart for the White Tiger domain tomorrow. Everyone looked at each other when they heard Chu Kuangren's words. At that moment, they had an indescribable feeling. Why do I feel like I'm not very happy? Morong Xian said. On one hand, they felt relieved that the inhumane torture was finally over. On the other hand, they also noticed that they had improved, so they hoped that the training could continue. So you guys are addicted to the torture? Huh? I'll give you guys an even more exciting training when we get back. Chu Kuangren glanced at Morong Xian and said. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. If the training was already hell, then what would be more exciting? Don't, sect leader. I'm just joking. That's what Morong Xian said. We never said anything about it. That's right. If you want to train, go train, Morong Xian. Everyone joked around for a while. Then Chu Kuangren told them to go back and prepare. The next day, Chu Kuangren took out the elusive mirage. The huge elusive mirage floated above the Black Heaven sect, and its huge body made everyone feel pressured. Take care, sect leader. In front of the mountain entrance, Elder Ruyan and the others sent Chu Kuangren and the group of Taoists off. They represented the Black Heaven sect in the Sky Pride Championship, and each of them carried the Black Heaven sect's honor on their shoulders. All right, we'll take our leave first. Chu Kuangren and the group of Taoists boarded the elusive mirage. Then 2 huge air currents erupted from the tail of the elusive mirage, pushing the elusive mirage into the distance, leaving behind 2 white marks in the clouds and the disciples who were blown away. This elusive mirage is so powerful. Tisk tsk, if only I could ride it once. On the elusive mirage, Nangong Huang, Qin Wushuang, and the others were shocked when they saw the buildings on the elusive mirage. Was that a ferry boat? It was like a floating city. Compared to Nangong Huang and the others, Morong Xian behaved better. He had been to the elusive mirage once, although it was not a pleasant experience. When he thought about what happened in the Morong clan, his gaze became a little gloomy. However, When he saw Nangong Huang and the others looking around in the elusive mirage, he could not help but smile. He walked up and glanced at them. "Pfft, look at you guys. You guys look like you've never seen the world before. How embarrassing." "This elusive mirage is really spectacular," Nangong Huang said. He might not be able to find a ferry boat like this even if he searched the entire firmament star. "All right, find a room for yourselves here. It'll take us 2 to 3 days to reach the White Tiger domain," Chu Kuangren said. Among the 4 domains, the Azure Dragon domain was the furthest from the White Tiger domain. The 4-domain Sky Pride Championship would be held in the first city of the White Tiger domain, so even the elusive mirage would need some time to reach there. "Yes, sect leader." Nangong Huang and the others each found a place to stay. Meanwhile, Lil Red, who had reverted to her true form, was having fun on the elusive mirage, shuttling back and forth between the pavilions. "Lil Red, be careful. Don't break anything." "Yes, brother." Chu Kuangren glanced at her and ignored her. At night, Nangong Huang, Junyi, and the others gathered together to look at the moon. They took out some drinks and snacks to enjoy the moon. "Why don't we spar?" Suddenly Murong Xian said with a whim. "Sure. That's what I was thinking." The others did not reject his suggestion. Only Shang Qingxue quietly walked to the side and did not participate. Her cultivation level was too weak, so she would only suffer if she went up to spar. However, she might be able to gain some insights by watching from the side. The few of them discussed Taoist techniques, but they were all equally matched. Then, they suddenly looked at Chu Kuangren. After they looked at each other, they all directed their Taoist rhymes towards Chu Kuangren. Chapter 277. Sect Leader, please enlighten us. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian Junyi, and the others unleashed their Taoist rhymes and charged towards Chu Kuangren. They wanted to spar with him. Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow at that. How impudent. As soon as he said that, a terrifying sword-based Taoist rhyme emanated. Nangong Huang and the others' Taoist rhymes were useless against that Taoist rhyme, and they were instantly destroyed. Everyone looked at each other with a knowing look on their faces. "Do you really think you can challenge me just because you've defeated my clone? You guys still have a long way to go. You still have a long way to go." Chu Kuangren chuckled. The others smiled bitterly. They felt that they would never be able to catch up to Chu Kuangren no matter how hard they trained. Soon 2 days had passed. Chu Kuangren and the others had arrived at the White Tiger domain's first city. Is that the first city? It's so majestic. From afar, the crowd could see the majestic city, and there were even a few small islands floating above it. There were also all kinds of rare beasts flying in the sky, and the streets were bustling with people. There were all kinds of skyscrapers and palaces. That was the first city. The name First City was enough to highlight how extraordinary it was. It was the largest and most majestic city in Firmament Star, and it was home to all kinds of forces. It was like a kingdom. Even the capital city of the Royal Azure Dynasty could not be compared to it. The first city was extremely lively, especially in the past few days. Besides the local forces of the White Tiger domain, sage orthodoxies from the other 3 domains had also come to participate in the 4 domains championship. Today, the first city could be said to be a gathering of experts. For season. At this moment, the largest restaurant in the first city was filled to the brim with cultivators from the various great forces gathered together, chatting merrily and wittily. "I can't believe Tempest Mountain is here to participate in this championship. How can we miss out on such a grand event? I heard that even the strongest sage orthodoxy in the White Tiger domain, the Sky Emperor Palace, will be participating. They have a high chance of winning." "Not necessarily. I heard that the Black Warrior domain's Overlord Sage tribe has also sent their people. They seem to be determined to win this championship as well." "Overlord Sage tribe? He is a strong contender for the championship. The tournament this time is quite lively. Other than the Sky Emperor Palace and the Overlord Sage tribe, the Heaven Cord sect is here too. The Vermilion Bird Realm's Heavenly Cord sect." Of course. Inside the restaurant, everyone was discussing about the hegemony tournament. At this moment, the waiter in the restaurant looked out of the window and suddenly opened his mouth in shock. What is that? Everyone followed his gaze and looked out the window. In the sky above the first city, a gigantic black immortal vessel soared through the sky. Wherever it passed, the clouds would churn. Most of the people were shocked. This was the first time they had seen such an immortal boat. Heavens, is this a fairy boat? Which faction is this? Ha, that's Mirage. At this moment, an old man in plain clothes by the window suddenly spoke. Everyone looked at him curiously. Elusive Mirage? What's that? Legend has it that a long time ago, there was a dynasty called the Qin dynasty. In order to seek immortality, the great Qin dynasty's monarch, Emperor Qin, used the entire nation's resources to build a peerless emperor artifact, fairy boat. It was called Mirage. Hearing this, everyone sucked in a cold breath. This Mirage is an emperor artifact? Not really. The Mirage disappeared a long time ago. This Mirage is just a counterfeit. The old man in plain clothes smiled faintly. Everyone was even more shocked. If a counterfeit was already so powerful, what would the real Mirage look like? Everyone could not help but wonder. Compared to the Mirage, I'm sure you've all heard of the person in the Mirage. The old man in plain clothes suddenly said. Who? The most famous person in the world today. The most famous person. Everyone frowned. Nowadays, the world was a time of great competition. Heroes and sky prides from all walks of life emerged one after another. There were too many famous people. Who is the leader of the sky prides? There's a madman in the black heaven. The old man in plain clothes improvised a limerick. The moment these words came out, how could the masses not guess who it was? It's him. I didn't expect him to come. He's going to participate in the championship. What about the others? Don't worry. There's a rule in this championship that sect leaders are not allowed to participate in the Sky Pride Championship. I heard that this rule is marked in red on the rules to specifically target Chu Kuangren. The most famous person in the world today? Ha, I should have known it would be him. Who doesn't know Chu Kuangren now? One of the cultivators exclaimed. Then he looked at the old man in plain clothes. Sensing that this old man was not as simple as he seemed, he asked curiously, May I know your name, sir? The old man in plain clothes smiled mysteriously. The mysteries of the heavens are not to be revealed. That one sentence made the cultivator's pupils dilate. He immediately guessed the old man's identity and bowed respectfully. Greetings, Senior Predictor. Above the first city, a few people flew past and stopped in front of the Mirage. These people were the organizers of the championship, the deacons of the first city. When they arrived before the Mirage, they were shocked by its grandeur. Then one of them said loudly, I'm Wang Yu, the deacon of the first city. Please show yourself, Black Heaven sect leader. Chu Kuangren then walked out with Nangong Huang and the others. At first glance, Wang Yu could tell who Chu Kuangren was among the group. It could not be helped. Chu Kuangren's temperament and appearance were too outstanding, much better than Nangong Huang, Morong Xian and the others. Greetings, sect leader Chu. We've prepared a resting area for the participating orthodoxies. Please come with us. Wang Yu said. Thank you for your trouble. Chu Kuangren smiled and kept the Mirage into his yin and yang ring. They followed the deacons to a cluster of buildings in the first city. Wang Yu pointed at a few buildings and said, This area is the resting area for the Black Heaven sect. There are servants from the first city in there. If there's anything you need, you can ask them to do. Thank you. You're welcome. Chu Kuangren and the others went into the buildings and found a place to rest. At the same time, news of Chu Kuangren's arrival in the first city spread like wildfire. Countless forces received the news immediately. Some forces even repeatedly confirmed with the organizers of the first city that Chu Kuangren would participate in the championship. Only after receiving a clear answer did the crowd feel a little more at ease. Phew, as long as Chu Kuangren doesn't participate in the championship, we still have a chance to win. It's a good thing the sect leader is not allowed to participate in the championship. Otherwise, we can just surrender to the Black Heaven sect. Chu Kuangren. The Mirage. This guy sure is big. Everyone in the city knows about him now. On the second day, News of the divine predictor's comment on Chu Kuangren at the World Tower spread like wildfire. That comment was just a limerick. Who shall lead the sky prides? There's Kuangren in the Black Heavens sect. Just that one sentence alone made Chu Kuangren stand above all the sky prides in the world. Chapter 278. The next day, Chu Kuangren walked out of the room and stretched his body. On the big tree in the courtyard, Lil Red, who had transformed into a bird, chirped twice before landing on Chu Kuangren's shoulder. Brother, you're up. Yes, did you stay on this tree for the whole night? I absorbed the moon essence for the whole night. Divine beasts were very mystical. Aside from being able to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, they could also absorb the essence of the sun and moon to cultivate. The latter's quality was much better than the former. Usually, other than some special techniques, ordinary cultivators would not be able to absorb it. Master, this is the rules and the list of participants sent by the organizers. Lan Yu walked up and said. She was holding a copy of the rules in her hand. Chu Kuangren took it and looked at it. The organizers had already sent the rules to the Black Heavens sect, so he had already read it. He was more interested in the list of participants. Oh, there are a total of 24 sage orthodoxies participating in this championship. Let me see how many are from the Azure Dragon domain. School of White Lotus, Black Heaven sect, Sacred Lands of Serene Wisdom, Thunder Falcon tribe, Yasha tribe. There are 5 from the Azure Dragon domain. That's not a small number. I wonder if I can meet some familiar faces. Chu Kuangren laughed. Not all sage orthodoxies would participate in this championship. It was normal for some sage orthodoxies to not participate due to certain reasons. However, to be able to gather 24 sage orthodoxies was more than half of the sage orthodoxies in the 4 domains. It was definitely a grand event. Chu Kuangren glanced at the list of participants and looked at the streets outside. This first city is known as the #1 city in the world, so it must be very prosperous. Lan Yu, accompany me for a walk. All right. Lan Yu nodded. Brother, I want to go too. Sure, but don't transform into your true form. Hide your aura well. Got it. Just like that, Chu Kuangren brought Lan Yu and Lil Red out. When they walked out of the door, a faint layer of spiritual light covered their faces, making their faces look very blurry. Both of them were too good-looking, especially Chu Kuangren. He did not want to cause any commotion and disturb his fun. There were many others who did the same thing. As he walked on the street, he occasionally saw a few cultivators with the same spiritual light covering their faces. Some of them were the sect leaders of the various forces, and some were the prodigies of the various sects. As expected of its name, the first city was very prosperous. However, the streets were wide and it did not appear crowded at all. Occasionally, some cultivators would ride on various rare and exotic beasts as they swaggered through the streets. It was as though they were afraid that others would not know that they had a good mount. Along the way, Chu Kuangren heard many rumors about himself. Who will be the leader of the Sky Prides? There's a Kuangren in the Black Heaven realm. This predictor shouldn't write a poem if he doesn't know how to. How dare he come up with a limerick like this and embarrass himself? Chu Kuangren curled his lips and said, But I don't think he's wrong. At the side, Lan Yu smiled and said, Among all the Sky Prides in this world, aren't you #1? Yes, I won't deny that. Chu Kuangren nodded in agreement. Let's go, let's go. I heard that the Heavenly Music Pavilion's Fairy Snowdrift is preparing to have a zither duel with the Sky Emperor Palace's noblewomen. It's so lively. I'll go take a look as well. TSK, I heard that Lady Snowflake's Guqin music has already reached the peak of perfection. It would be a blessing to hear her play a song, not to mention that she's going to have a musical duel with someone. Yeah, this is a rare opportunity. Quick, let's go take a look. On the streets, the cultivators quickly ran towards the place where the musical duel was taking place. Not long after, the streets became deserted. A musical duel, this is quite interesting. Chu Kuangren smiled. Ever since he obtained the 8 celestial demonic chords, his musical Tao had reached such a high level that not many people in this world could compare to him. He was also a little curious as to how much this sky pride of the Heaven Chord Pavilion, who was famous for her musical Tao, could achieve. Lan Yu, let's go join in the fun. All right. Both of them arrived at the place where the musical duel was taking place. It was a tall building. 2 women stood on top of the building. One was dressed in white while the other was dressed in red. One had a cold temperament while the other had an air of nobility. Both women were stunning beauties, each with their own merits. Many of the male cultivators at the scene could not help but be mesmerized when they saw the 2 women. So this is Lady Snowflake? She really lives up to her name. That woman in red must be the Sky Emperor Palace's noblewoman. Rumor has it that there's a noblewoman in the Sky Emperor Palace called Jing Nian, who specializes in musical Tao. If I'm not mistaken, this should be her. Yes, it's her. The crowd discussed among themselves. Chu Kuangren heard the crowd's words, but he did not pay much attention to them. Compared to the 2 women's looks, he was more interested in the fiery red crystal that was placed between them. That crystal had fire-based Taoist rhymes flowing around it, and it contained an extremely dense amount of spiritual qi. It was a rare fire-based treasure that was at least at the boundary sage level. Brother, that thing looks delicious. The godly phoenix Lil Red said to Chu Kuangren. She was a divine beast that leaned towards fire-based attributes, so fire-based treasures were extraordinarily attractive to her. Don't worry, I'll find one for you in the future. Chu Kuangren said. Lil Red was standing on his shoulder, and Chu Kuangren could even hear the sound of her swallowing saliva. This little girl seems to like that crystal a lot. Should I think of a way to get it? Chu Kuangren thought to himself. He could not snatch it anymore. How would it look if the Black Heaven sect leader stole something from another sect's disciple if word got out? I can't believe you've taken out such a precious fire spirit crystal just to have a musical duel with me. At that moment, Lady Snowflake said. Rumor has it that Lady Snowflake from the Heaven Chord sect is unparalleled in musical Tao. I've always wanted to see if your Heavenly Snow melody is better, or if my honoring an emperor tune is better, Sky Emperor Palace's noblewoman Jing Nian said. As she spoke, she took out a guqin. It was a fiery red guqin with an extraordinary Taoist rhyme flowing around it. Just like its owner, it had an air of nobility about it. I didn't want to compete with you at first, but for the sake of this fire spirit crystal, it's not a big deal to lose to you once. Lady Snowflake also took out a guqin. It was a beautifully crafted guqin that looked like it was carved out of jade. The 2 of them began their musical duel. Lady Snowflake took the lead and played a song. Her music was as cold as she was, and everyone could feel the temperature in the air drop by a few degrees. Following that was Jing Nian's guqin music. It was majestic and powerful, as if she was a supreme emperor that could shake the mountains and rivers. 2 types of guqin music, 2 types of Taoist rhymes, and 2 songs stirred up circles of ripples in the void. What a powerful guqin music! As expected of the Sky Prides from the Heaven Chord sect, the noble women from the Sky Emperor Palace are not ordinary either. The crowd could not help but exclaim as they watched the musical duel. In the crowd, Chu Kuangren frowned as he watched the 2 duel. These 2 seemed to be average. In the eyes of ordinary people, these 2 women's musical Tao skills were already at the peak of perfection. However, in his eyes, they were only considered to be at a higher level. They were not even considered masters. Chapter 279. The guqin music reverberated in the void. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu watched from the crowd. Compared to the others who were amazed, their expressions were much calmer. To Chu Kuangren, these 2 women were only average at best. They were far from being worthy of his praise. As for Lan Yu, ever since she heard Chu Kuangren's guqin music, no other guqin music in this world could enter her ears. The guqin duel gradually came to an end. A loud clang could be heard. Jing Nian's guqin music instantly became extremely high-pitched. Guqin music rained down on Lady Snowflake like a torrential downpour. Gradually, Lady Snowflake's guqin music seemed to be unable to hold on any longer. With a loud clang, the guqin string broke. The zither music that resounded throughout heaven and earth stopped in an instant. Lady Snowflake looked at the broken guqin in front of her with a shocked expression. She had lost. How could this be? Lady Snowflake felt an unprecedented sense of defeat. She had been cultivating Guqin Dao for so many years. Even some of the elders in the sect could not compare to her. This was the first time she had lost to someone of the same age. According to the agreement, this Guqin of yours is mine now. Jing Nian walked up to Lady Snowflake and looked at her arrogantly before she took the Guqin away. Lady Snowflake's expression became even more desolate when she saw that. Snowflake, don't be sad. It's just a Guqin. I'll get someone to find you a better one when we get back. At that moment, a man suddenly walked up to Lady Snowflake and comforted her. Lady Snowflake took 2 steps back and said, "Thank you, Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan. However, the Heaven Cord sect has a professional Guqin craftsman. You don't have to trouble yourself with finding a Guqin." Is that so? Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan's eyes flashed with disappointment. He had wanted to use this opportunity to get closer to Lady Snowflake. He had fallen in love with this woman since the first time he saw her. As a bachelor sage of the Overlord clan, he even disregarded his identity to please her. However, she had always been lukewarm towards him. I didn't expect the bachelor sage of the Overlord clan to be such a sentimental person. It's a pity that the love is reciprocated. Jing Nian sneered and was about to leave. Sigh, the delicious food is gone. Godly Phoenix Xiao Hong could not help but sigh when she saw that Jing Nian was about to leave with the fire spirit crystal. However, to the others it sounded like chattering. Mian Nian, who was about to leave, heard the voice and looked towards the source of the voice. When she saw Lil Red on Chu Kuangren's shoulder, her eyes lit up and she strode towards it. "I want your bird. Give me a price." Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren could not help but fall silent. The surrounding men also had a strange look on their faces. However, Jing Nian did not think too much about it. She kept staring at Lil Red with an indescribable fondness in her eyes. She had seen images of the divine phoenix in ancient books, and the little bird in front of her was actually 70 to 80% similar to the legendary divine phoenix. Of course, she did not think that this was the divine phoenix. After all, it was a divine beast. How could she encounter it so coincidentally? She just felt that since this little bird looked so similar to the godly phoenix, it would not be a bad idea to buy it as a mascot. "Sorry, I'm not selling this bird," Chu Kuangren said indifferently. 100,000 upper spiritual stones. Jing Nian said. She thought that using 100,000 upper spiritual stones to buy a little bird was already a great deal for Chu Kuangren. Not only her, but everyone around her thought the same as well. They looked at Chu Kuangren enviously. 100,000 upper spiritual stones for a bird? That was like a free lunch from the heavens. When Lil Red heard what Jing Nian said, it started to chirp at Chu Kuangren on his shoulder. "Are you kidding me? You're buying a godly phoenix with 100,000 upper spiritual stones? B*TC, hurry up and leave. I'm not selling. I'll never leave you, brother." However, that scolding made her even cuter to Jing Nian. It's more fun to play with such an energetic bird. How about this? I'll give you another 100,000 upper spiritual stones. Jing Nian said like a tycoon. As a noble lady of the Sky Emperor Palace, she did not lack those upper spiritual stones. "I won't be selling this bird, but it's not like there's no way for you to keep it." Chu Kuangren smiled. "What way? You and I have a musical duel. If you win, the bird is yours. If you lose, I want your fire spirit crystal," Chu Kuangren said. Everyone was stunned when they heard that. Even Lady Snowflake, who was about to leave, stopped in her tracks. This Taoist brother wants to have a musical duel with Jing Nian? He doesn't know what's good for him. Even you, Lady Snowflake, are no match for Jing Nian, let alone this kid who came out of nowhere. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan sneered from the side. Most of the people present had the same thought as him. In the Firmament Star, the Heaven Cord sect was the best at musical Dao. Even Lady Snowflake from the Heaven Cord sect had lost to Jing Nian. How could this guy who came out of nowhere beat her in musical Dao? The crowd did not believe it. This kid probably knows a thing or two, but it's too bad that he's up against a musical Dao cultivator like Jing Nian. He can only lose. Tisk tsk, he really doesn't know his place. Let's see how he loses. Jing Nian looked at Chu Kuangren in amusement. Even if you want to give me this bird for free, you don't have to do this. I'll give it a try. Chu Kuangren did not care about the doubts of the crowd. He leaped and landed on top of a tall building. Jing Nian came before him and took out her guqin. I'll let you go first, Jing Nian said. No, I advise you to go first. Otherwise, there's a high chance that you won't get another chance, Chu Kuangren said sincerely. How arrogant. I'll let you go first, so I'll let you go first. Jing Nian frowned and was a little displeased. The others also thought that Chu Kuangren was too good at pretending. The more arrogant he is, the more awkward it'll be when he loses later. That's right. Chu Kuangren turned a deaf ear to the discussions around him. He took out his lingering melody. As soon as lingering melody was played, Lady Snowflake's eyes lit up and she could not help but exclaim, "What a nice guqin." Lady Snowflake likes this guqin. Whether it's the material or the craftsmanship, this is a top-notch piece of art. It's even better than the one I had before. Sage Chongyuan fell into deep thought when he heard that. Since you want me to go first, I won't hold back then. Chu Kuangren placed the guqin on his knees and plucked it with all 10 fingers. The moment the guqin music rang out, Jing Nian could not help but look shocked. Then, her eyes widened and her face was filled with disbelief. The noisy crowd instantly became incomparably quiet. The guqin music contained a boundless Taoist rhyme as it reverberated. Everyone felt as if their minds were being pulled into that boundless world. This was especially true for Jing Nian. She was affected by the Taoist rhyme in the guqin music. She felt as if she was in a boundless world as the boundless Taoist rhyme surged towards her like a tidal wave, making it difficult for her to defend herself. It was too terrifying. This guqin music, this Taoist rhyme was too terrifying. Jing Nian raised her trembling hand and tried to play the guqin in her hand to resist Chu Kuangren's guqin music. However, when her fingers landed on the guqin strings, she realized that she could not make a single sound no matter how hard she tried. Her zither Dao had been completely suppressed. How can there be such a guqin Taoist rhyme in this world? Chapter 280. This is impossible. How can such guqin Taoist rhymes exist in this world? Jing Nian looked at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. In the face of Chu Kuangren's guqin music, she could not even muster the slightest intention to compete with him. She had lost, completely lost. After playing the tune of Boundless Universe, Chu Kuangren put away his guqin and looked at Jing Nian. It's your turn now. Please. Jing Nian was on the verge of tears. My turn? My turn? How are you going to compete with me? I've lost. Jing Nian took out the fire spirit crystal and tossed it to Chu Kuangren. Then she asked curiously, May I know which musical Taoist grandmaster you are? I don't specialize in the way of the zither. I just use it to kill time in my spare time. I don't deserve to be called a great grandmaster. Chu Kuangren said calmly after he took the fire spirit crystal. Everyone who had just recovered from the guqin music was dumbfounded when they heard what he said. Even the aloof Lady Snowflake could not help but twitch her lips. The Zither Grandmaster realm that all the cultivators of the Heaven Cord sect dreamed of was actually something that someone else practiced to kill time. Was there any justice in this world? Was there still any humanity left? Since you are unwilling to reveal your name, I will not force you. However, I would like to invite you to my place tonight to play the zither and discuss the Tao. Jing Nian said with a fiery gaze. Was it playing the zither and discussing the Tao? Or was it love? The surrounding male cultivators looked at Chu Kuangren enviously. After all, she was a noble lady of the Sky Emperor Palace. Being invited by her was a dream come true for countless male cultivators. If anything were to happen during this, it would be a blessing of 3 lifetimes. Many people at the scene wished they could replace Chu Kuangren. At that moment, Lady Snowflake, who was standing not too far away, walked over and said to Chu Kuangren, Fellow Taoist, your musical Tao attainments are so high that Snowflake admires you very much. I would like to invite you over to my place for a long chat. Even someone as cold as the fluttering snow fairy could not help but be tempted after witnessing Chu Kuangren's godly musical Tao attainments. Even her master did not have such attainments in the zither Tao. If she was able to make friends with such an expert and receive a pointer or two from him, it would absolutely be a great benefit to her. The moment Fairy Snowdrift spoke, all the male cultivators present widened their mouths in disbelief. F***ck me. Fairy Snowdrift, where's your coldness? Where is your modesty? Your persona has collapsed. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan stared at Chu Kuangren with a face full of jealousy. He had chased after Lady Snowflake for so many days, yet she had never treated him differently. Yet now, she was sending out an invitation to a stranger. What a King Long talk. First come, first served. I was the one who invited this fellow Taoist first. Jing Nian glanced at Lady Snowflake and said in an unfriendly tone, there are some things that don't matter. Sometimes it depends on fate. Perhaps this fellow Taoist is more willing to discuss the Tao with me. A loser like you dares to compete with me? A sense of shame leads to courage. It is precisely because I lost to you that I should grasp the opportunity to learn from this fellow Taoist and benefit from it. Fairy Fluttering Snow and Jing Nian. These two women who were unreachable in the eyes of countless male cultivators were now fighting over a man in the middle of the street. The two women were at each other's throats, neither willing to back down. Although they did not fight, everyone could smell the thick smell of gunpowder in the air. At that moment, the crowd was filled with envy and jealousy toward Chu Kuangren. They could not wait to answer on his behalf. Stop fighting, only children make choices. Adults want both. Let's talk about love together. Oh no, play the Guqin. I thank both of you for your invitation, but we've never met before. I still have things to do, so I won't disturb you any longer. Goodbye. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. In other words, he was saying, I'm sorry, but we don't know each other. Goodbye. Upon hearing his words, the people around him almost went crazy. Rejected. He actually rejected the invitation of two goddesses. Goodness, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that countless people dreamed of. Yet this guy rejected it without a second thought. Even Lady Snowflake and Jing Nian were surprised. However, Chu Kuangren ignored them. After obtaining the fire spirit crystal, he was about to leave with Lan Yu. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan could not hold it in any longer and yelled, "Stop right there." However, Chu Kuangren ignored him and continued to stride forward. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan's expression darkened as he dashed towards Chu Kuangren in an attempt to grab him. However, before he could get close, Lan Yu, who was beside Chu Kuangren, suddenly made her move. She unleashed a punch that unleashed boundless Taoist rhymes that turned into a surge of divine radiance that instantly blasted Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan dozens of feet away. Seeing that, the crowd gasped. They did not expect the lady who had been staying by Chu Kuangren's side without saying a word to possess such strength. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan's face was filled with shock too. Although his strength was not the strongest among the younger generation, it was enough to rival a young emperor. Yet he was sent flying with a single punch. Just how terrifying was this lady's strength? At that thought, Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan's heart that was blinded by jealousy and hatred gradually cleared up. He no longer dared to act rashly. Meanwhile, Lady Snowflake and Jing Nian looked at the back of Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu as if they were deep in thought. Although both of them had covered their faces with a spiritual veil, their voices sounded very young. Could they be Sky Prides who were here to participate in the championship? The more they thought about it, the more they felt that it was possible. Hence, they decided to go back and find someone to investigate. At that moment, after Chu Kuangren left the crowd, he handed the fire spirit crystal in his hand to the godly phoenix Lil Red. She pecked the crystal and a hole appeared on it. Then, like drinking water, she continuously absorbed the spiritual chi within the fire spirit crystal into her body. The feathers on her body glowed faintly. Chu Kuangren was worried that if she continued to absorb the spiritual chi, she would not be able to resist and revert to her true form. Hence, he kept the fire spirit crystal into his yin and yang ring. Stop absorbing it for now. It's all yours when we get back. He and Lan Yu strolled around the city for half a day, before they returned to the accommodations that were arranged for the various sage orthodoxies in the first city. The moment they arrived, a few pairs of eyes landed on them. Chu Kuangren only took a glance at them before he ignored them and returned to the Black Heaven sect's area. Seeing that, the few people left on their own. In one of the rooms, Bachelor Sage Chong Yuan asked in shock, "Are you sure they're from the Black Heaven sect?" "Yes, a man and a woman with a red bird. I'm sure I'm not mistaken. They've indeed entered the Black Heaven sect's area. So they're from the Black Heaven sect. Fortunately, things didn't get out of hand today." Bachelor Sage Chong Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. Even though the Overlord Sage tribe was powerful and had a strong foundation, they were still wary of Chu Kuangren from the Black Heaven sect. Since when did a musical Taoist grandmaster appear among the young disciples of the Black Heaven sect? Bachelor Sage Chong Yuan was puzzled. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lady Snowflake and the spies that Jing Nian had sent to monitor the situation had returned. "They're indeed Sky Prides who are here to participate in the championship. But I didn't expect them to be from the Black Heaven sect," Jing Nian murmured. Suddenly she thought of something. Rumor has it that Chu Kuangren was once acknowledged by the godly phoenix as its master. That bird I saw today is 70 to 80% similar to the godly phoenix. Could it really be the godly phoenix? The more she thought about it, the more her heart palpitated. If it really was the godly phoenix, then the identity of the musical Taoist grandmaster that she had encountered today would be obvious. "I can't believe it's him." She was a little relieved that she did not go overboard. Otherwise, it was hard to say if she would still be standing here. Chapter 281. Time flew by. Soon it was time for the championship to begin. Chu Kuangren brought a group of disciples to the central plaza of the first city, where there was a gigantic arena. After passing through a dark tunnel, Chu Kuangren and the others entered the arena. In an instant, they were illuminated by the light, and they saw millions of spectators surrounding the arena. Some were sitting in the spectator stands, some were standing, and some were floating in the air. The arena was so crowded that not even a drop of water could pass through. When Chu Kuangren arrived with the people from the Black Heaven sect, the crowd erupted in cheers and screams. "Look, it's the people from the Black Heaven sect. The one walking at the front is the Black Heaven sect leader, Chu Kuangren. Rumor has it that he's the one who killed 3 sages within a year. By the heavens, this person is just as extraordinary as the rumors say. How great would it be if I could spend the night with him?" "In your dreams. I heard that the Divine Predictor commented on him a few days ago. Black Heaven has Kuangren as the leader of the Sky Prides. He immediately listed him as the #1 Sky Prides in the world. That shows how amazing he is." The Divine Predictor's comment is too high. Once they entered the arena, countless spectators began to discuss among themselves, especially Chu Kuangren, who attracted everyone's attention. Aside from his appearance and temperament, there were also many rumors about him that made people pay attention to him. "Sect leader, you're quite popular," Nangong Huang said to Chu Kuangren. "You guys are the main characters in this championship. Do your best and let the world witness the strength of the Black Heaven sect," Chu Kuangren said calmly. He did not care about the burning gazes from the millions of people, and he looked indifferent. In the arena, the other sage orthodoxies had also entered the arena. "Look, it's the people from Tempest Mountain." "That's not all. The people from the Linghu clan are here too. Other than the Murong clan that lost 2 of their sages, the strongest swordsmanship sect in Firmament Star is here too. This tournament will definitely be exciting." Needless to say, there's also the White Tiger Domain's Sky Emperor Palace, the Black Warrior Domain's Overlord Sage Tribe, and the Scarlet Phoenix Domain's Heaven Cord sect. These are all renowned sage orthodoxies. The tournament this time is truly a feast for the geniuses. That's right. Look at those Sky Prides who are leading the group. They're either young emperors or one of the 10 talents. More than half of the most outstanding youths in the world are gathered here. This is a rare sight. The sage orthodoxies entered the arena one after another, causing many to exclaim in surprise. As soon as the people from the sage orthodoxies entered the arena, they immediately looked in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. To be more precise, they were looking in the direction of Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren, The young emperor of the Linghu clan, Linghu Tung, stared at him with a look of dread and even fear. He had once fought Chu Kuangren at the sword gauntlet, but he ended up suffering a crushing defeat. Later on, he heard the news that Chu Kuangren had killed 2 of the Morong clan sages, and he was so shocked that his Taoist core almost collapsed. At that time, he knew that the gap between them was so great that he might not be able to catch up even if he tried his entire life. In the direction of Mount Tempest, the young emperor Ling Feng stared at Chu Kuangren with a complicated look in his eyes. Back at the sword gauntlet, he was suppressed by Chu Kuangren's sword-based Taoist rhyme to the point that he could not even unleash a single sword attack. That incident had become a knot in his heart. Later on, when he heard about Chu Kuangren's deeds, he suddenly realized that he, the so-called sword lunatic, was not even worth mentioning. What Chu Kuangren had done was the true definition of madness. Besides Linghu Tung and Ling Feng, many other sky prides were also carefully observing Chu Kuangren. They were too curious about this person. Everyone was a sky pride, so why was he so outstanding? Not only did he become a sect leader, he killed a sage, and he even got the godly phoenix to acknowledge him as its master. His name was known throughout the world, and he completely outshone everyone else. Among these people, there were some whose eyes were filled with jealousy, some who were unwilling, and some who were eager to give it a try. In the direction of the Overlord Sage tribe, Bachelor Sage Chong Yuan gasped when he saw Lil Red on Chu Kuangren's shoulder. It's him. I can't believe it was him that day. Bachelor Sage Chong Yuan was still traumatized. Beside him, a black-robed elder noticed his unusual behavior and asked curiously, Bachelor Sage Chong Yuan, what's wrong? Elder, he's the person I told you about. Bachelor Sage Chong Yuan gulped and said in a serious tone. The black-robed elder's expression changed slightly. He then looked at Bachelor Sage Chong Yuan and said, You're lucky to still be standing here. Elder, I trust you've been well since we last met. At that moment, the people from the school of White Lotus walked up. The White Lotus leader bowed at Chu Kuangren and said respectfully, Leader, you guys are here too? Yes. The few of them chatted casually. Chu Kuangren was also secretly observing the others, but he soon lost interest after a few glances. Most of the people who came were led by the sect leaders of the various sage orthodoxies. There was not a single sage among them. In other words, the sages were hiding in the dark and had yet to show themselves. It's a shame that you can't participate in this championship, Elder. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll be the champion, the White Lotus leader said with a smile. Chu Kuangren chuckled and said, I'm already a sect leader. How can I compete with a bunch of juniors? It's beneath my dignity. Hearing this, everyone rolled their eyes. Juniors? Please wake up and take a look at your own age, alright? However, as much as they complained, no one dared to refute him. In other words, they should be glad that Chu Kuangren had such thoughts. Otherwise, if Chu Kuangren were to compete with these sky prides, who would be able to beat him? He would definitely beat them to a pulp. However, that was what the sect leaders thought. Some of the sky prides looked at Chu Kuangren with dissatisfaction. Is this guy trying to use his status to pressure us? Or is he trying to say that we're not worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as him? Juniors? *CK his juniors. If there's a chance, I really want to compete with him. Those who were present were the most outstanding young people of their generation, so they naturally had their own pride. Even though they knew that they were no match for Chu Kuangren, they could not help but compare themselves to him. In other words, they deserved to be beaten up by society. At that moment, 3 rays of light descended from the sky and landed in front of the crowd. The 3 rays of light were 2 men and 1 woman. Each of them had a powerful Taoist rhyme flowing around their bodies. They were all honorable supremes. Upon seeing them, the crowd was shocked. It's them. They're 3 of the first city's 13 prefects. It's the 11th, 12th, and 13th prefects. They're the judges for this championship. Rumor has it that there are 13 prefects in the first city, and each of them is a top-notch expert. Especially the ones at the front, they rarely show themselves. Rumor has it that the first 3 prefects are all sages. That's right. It's because of the 13 prefects that the first city's status in the White Tiger domain is so high that it's not any weaker than the Sky Emperor Palace. Otherwise, why would the first city dare to call itself the world's #1 city? Chu Kuangren activated his eye of revelation and glanced at the few prefects. The woman was the 11th prefect, and the two men were the 12th and 13th prefects. Their strengths were even stronger than ordinary honorable supremes. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.